depressed. I can't keep scrolling and seeing stupid tweets.
It's
Making my
okay.
brain melt.
It's okay. All right, we'll go for real. Put on the videos. Here we go. All right, we live. We doing this. It's poor beggar podcast time. I don't know. We don't have an intro or anything. We're just gonna wing it. Over 9,000 Justin's joining me. Feel free to just yourself. Blah, 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 blah. People could be watching this lovely footage I've got. Zuzu's here. He's chilling in the chat. He's chilling in the chat. You can watch all the sweet Yep. You can watch the sweet Galgun footage. You might want to be on Twitch so you can see the chat.
Oh, you're right. I don't know why I thought it was gonna pop up like a notification. This is Grim Guardians. This isn't Galgun. Just because it's in the Galgun universe.
No, it's Galgun. This game is gaslighting you into thinking it's not Galgun, but it is Galgun. It is 100% Galgun.
Is that why they took it off the Xbox store? They found out it was Galgun?
Oh, how did you tricked us with Galgun?
How dare you?
They literally even say double piece.
Yeah.
So you can't hate me on it.
Yeah, Sylvania.
No, it's Galgun, my man. But yeah, this is one of the games I've been playing.
I did want to buy it. I was like, maybe I'll get it on
It's still
sale,
available in Canada and Germany, apparently, but not the US and Australia.
That's what's so weird.
Is it available in Ireland? I didn't think this would be controversial when I put it up as footage.
I didn't either. I didn't even think the game would be controversial, period.
Just gonna check. So we'll find out if it's available in Europe or Ireland. I don't know how those stores are separated. I don't know. It got removed from the because it's Galgun. I don't know if
Galgun. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know this? I actually have a physical of Galgun Double Pace, a Japanese import, and it has the cursed, it has the cursed game promo in that caused all of the controversy about censorship in games.
4K loves that.
What was that one? It was hold on, let me grab it quick. It is. Oh no, sorry, it's in Galgun 2. Not Galgun Double Pace.
Oh, can't believe you would trick me like that.
There's an ad for Omega Labyrinth Life,
which is a great game.
Which is the game that started all the stuff. It's still available in Ireland, so this has got to be an issue with Indie Creates in the US.
Yeah.
Or something.
I don't know if it's a copyright thing or.
I don't know. I also don't know why it has an English dub. This is the weirdest thing to me. Why does it have an option for an English dub?
I like that only because it gives me hope that we'll see more localized stuff in this universe. We won't, but it gives me that hope.
Yeah, it is a really good game though. The footage you're seeing is actually late game after you upgraded all the power-ups with the second run through the castle.
The giant spinning saw seems a little OP. I didn't think that'd be...
You have to charge it. PTBR. Yeah, but oh yeah, God, Nintendo was always the worst for censorship, and now they're like the stewards of Portuguese, Brazilian Portuguese. Yes, I just play games with Japanese audio, even North American ones. If it's an option, I do it. I play Overwatch with Japanese audio. It's great.
I think more games should take the Tekken approach. Every character speaks the nationality that they are. No one speaks the same language, but everyone understands each other.
Overwatch does that, but
No,
it's more fun to play it in
oh,
Japanese because then you can when Doomfist comes to kick your ass, it's Coffee Dad from Persona 5.
uh, I guess it kind of does because each one like has their quote, but they usually speak English to each other, and I think it'd be way funnier if they just spoke their own language but never said anything. Like it's never even brought up.
Never brought up.
Just gaslighting the audience into thinking this is a normal thing.
Translator microbes. Actually, Scars Above handles that very interestingly because obviously the alien does not speak English.
Well, I mean, he could. Clearly, he doesn't like us enough.
It was I don't know if it's a she or he. I'm gonna be
That's
honest.
true.
Sounds like a woman, but I'm not sure. Like,
I shouldn't be assuming.
but anyway, so what have you been playing besides the super controversial? Did you were you on the controversial Galgun train or Grim Guardians train?
Um, in terms of did I want to play it, or do you mean in terms of
Are you playing it
like
now or no?
I can't at the moment. I was gonna get it at launch, haven't gotten it yet, and now because it's not in the store, I can't get it until they decide to give it back.
Someone will
So
find out. I don't know. Someone's gonna
yeah,
have to figure out what's up with that.
yeah. If anything, we'll just have to contact them and ask and
Yeah,
say, "Hey,
TNT
can we
creates like
have your
what's going
game
on.
back?"
It's just it
I'd
was
like to
weird
give
that
you money.
it'd be on the Canadian store but not the American
Yeah,
one. It has to be a bug. I don't think this is legit.
yeah. I mean, everyone we've asked so far, it's been everywhere. It's been in Germany, Canada, Ireland.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
I could switch my Xbox to Japan and see if it's there, but I'd highly doubt they'd pull it from the Japanese store.
Yeah,
It's got to
and I
be
feel like if
like
they
it's
did,
got to be
someone would
something
talk.
stupid. It's probably something
Oh,
really
of
dumb.
course. I mean, even when it's told to us, it's never something smart. It's always something stupid. It's a video game.
Yeah.
There's never a good reason.
I mean, the plot of this game is absolutely ridiculous. They replaced the five pieces of track. It's basically a uh, Castlevania parody game.
I'm gonna say it sounds like Castlevania 2's plot.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it kind of plays like Castlevania too, with the levels that you can revisit and branching paths.
Hmm, I like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's really fun. It's also hilarious that the one character has a machine gun and the other one uses origami.
I was actually gonna comment on that. I like that one of them is very modern and the other one is very typical in the weapons they use. One's got the katana and origami, and everyone's like, "Oh, I got a rocket launcher
Yeah, it's a
pistol."
rocket launcher, a grapple hook. It's weird. Oh, what? Come on, man. Zeus is allowed to say laughing my ass off. It is. I find it very funny that it's just like, yeah, I've got the rapier, and it's like machine gun. What? Clearly, it's
It
parody because
reminds me.
they needed the gun, right? It wouldn't
Yeah,
be a Gal
exactly.
Gun game
It
without the
couldn't be
gun.
Galgun. Yeah. Introducing a Gal Kunai.
I fixed you, mate. It's okay. I'll allow it.
What did he get in trouble
He
for
got a
saying?
laugh. I just can't believe LMAO got a ban. It's like, do you want to allow this?
Oh,
I just can't.
nothing surprises me on Twitch. Not anymore.
I don't know. It could be considered bad. So if you weren't playing Galgun, what have you been playing? Because I think you've been playing very different stuff from me.
Probably. I've done a bit of Switch stuff. I've been doing some Xbox. With the Xbox, I've been playing a little bit of Wulong, but I haven't gotten super into it yet. I'm kind of mixed. It's definitely not a bad game. It's just I don't know what I expected. I've been playing a lot of Midnight Suns. That's
Yeah,
a
I've been
great
seeing you
game.
playing lots of Midnight Suns. That kind of just
I
came out,
can't help.
and then no one really talks about it much, which sucks because it looked pretty
Yeah,
cool.
it's weird. The only people I see talk about it are whenever there's a post about the DLCs, stuff like that, and everyone's like, "Yeah, it's the best," and then everyone's gone. It just
Yeah,
never
like
gets
what?
brought up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Ooh,
they
what
did
is
a
the game like?
fantastic
I
job.
don't think I've ever actually seen it outside of just cutscenes and stuff.
So it plays a little bit like an XCOM style game, but
Oh,
with a deck building kind of attribute. You draw a few cards, and you have free actions per turn, sort of. Um, you're supposed to
unless the
have
cards
free
say
card
otherwise.
plays. Yeah, sometimes there's free actions. Other times you can get a refund on your action. As you progress, you can get different abilities. One of them is using your movement. Instead of moving to a specific spot, you can knock someone away. And you can use that to knock them off the environment, into things, into other people, into teammates to combo into them. There's a lot of positioning that's involved
This
because
sounds
you
a
can
lot
also
like
use the
Metal Gear
environment.
Acid. Did you ever play Metal Gear Acid?
I haven't. I've heard about it, but I haven't played
I can't be the only one. Someone made a Metal Gear Acid like, and I didn't even know. What?
it.
Oh my
It's
god.
really interesting too because you've got the really good lore with the characters. They did a really good job, but there's so much customization, and I didn't expect that. For your custom hero, of course, there's all sorts of stuff, but even the other heroes, there's different outfits from different comic stories and different in-universe stuff, and then there's color palette swaps. There's a lot of unlocks too. It's surprisingly deep and very big. I don't know, how much more there is in terms of DLC, but they've also already added Deadpool and Venom, along with some side stories and interesting stuff. It's a lot of fun.
That is interesting. It like I said, the game that comes to mind, you said deck building and you have movement, you could do stuff with it. Reminds me a lot of
Yeah,
Metal Gear Acid.
I'll have to look into that too because I definitely like the way this plays, and I do like Metal Gear
Metal Gear Acid 1 is kind of rough. Metal Gear Acid 2 is way better.
in
But
terms of
they
gameplay
also
and story or
oh
graphics.
uh Hideo Kojima was not involved with the first one, but he was definitely involved with the second one. So the first one's like kind of tame, but the second one is like completely bazonkers.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
it. So my brother reminded me of Solid Vision. So it came with this thing. You could slide onto the PSP and basically make it into 3D. So it split the screen in half, and then you got the 3D effect.
It'll come
Remember,
with
this is
your
the
own
original
glasses.
PSP. It was
Yeah.
great. So
Uh,
Metal Gear
it's
Acid
surprising to
2.
see.
I
Oh,
don't know
sorry, go on.
why those games have to never got re-released, but I mean, we got Crisis Core, so maybe there's hope for Metal
Yeah.
Gear Acid.
Here's hoping. I mean, I loved Crisis Core. Originally, the remake was great. I don't know why it took so long, though. And I only say that because yeah, I don't feel like there's as much love for it now as there was when it originally came out. And Final Fantasy is so diversive right now, and they're trying to do so many different things. It's weird that they're trying so hard recently to win back the Final Fantasy VII crowd. I
It's
think
like
it's
maybe.
possibly.
uh,
Oh, I was sorry. I was just gonna say.
I was gonna
I
snark
think
about
because they.
the them kind
Yeah,
of
I was
splitting
just
the
gonna say the
audience
same.
up.
I think they've ruined their core audience and cut them into so many little subgroups, and they're trying to win each one back instead of just combining the group and putting stuff out that everyone loves. I don't see a benefit to the way they're doing it right now for business or for the fans. Seems like a very weird choice.
It was a weird choice, to be honest. It's kind of insane that you want to make this IP bigger and you're just like you're gonna gaslight an entire audience and be like, yeah, nah, it's fine. We don't need it right now.
Exactly. And that's the thing that's odd to me the most. They keep saying they want to expand, they want to do more of this franchise, but they make weird choices to exclude an entire console, to change how they do merch, to change games completely or remove features from old ones. It seems not only counterproductive business wise, but it seems like you're hurting the only people who are trying to help and defend you, the fans. Um, the media loves to talk about Final Fantasy because it's easy clicks, it's been there forever, it's a classic of its genre. But as much as we enjoy JRPGs, it's not the biggest genre on the market. It doesn't appeal very well to casuals. Um, And I think that's the problem that a lot of people don't understand. A Final Fantasy game selling amazingly could be anywhere from 3 to 5 million copies. But you look at a sports game that comes out every year or Call of Duty, and it does that in the first day. So
First
you got to
hour
think
even
these
with
people.
some of them.
Exactly. Some of them are crazy. I mean, even Harry Potter and Pokemon, these
Hmm.
huge IPs outside of games, they do fantastic with all audiences. I have cousins who don't even play video games. I just talked to my cousin Sunday. Her and her husband, they both got into Harry Potter. They love it. They're playing that together. My sister and her fiance are playing It Takes Two together. There's more games than ever trying to appeal to casual audiences and pick people up. It's great to see. So I think that's why it's so crazy to me that they're doing this pig-headed move of not only locking a game to a single console, but talking down to fans on other consoles and saying, come to this one. You're on PC, you're on Xbox, you're on Switch. Stop. Come here and play it here. It just seems very counterintuitive to both the fans and the franchise. I don't see how this can help them. It's a weird choice.
It is weird because you would think that making partners with someone like Microsoft would be ideal in this situation, so you could have it
Mhm.
on Switch too, because they've got all the cloud infrastructure. I don't
Exactly.
I don't know about the real gamer thing. The thing is that Final Fantasy World's old. I don't think that it's unapproachable.
Hmm.
Our comment from Zuzu about real gamers.
Yeah. Well,
To
that's
mean
the other thing.
PS gamers.
Yeah, people like to define gaming as a certain thing, and you see it on the Twitter crowd. You see it with really quote unquote dedicated fans at cons and that. That's not what people care about when they're making a game or selling it. They don't care who is the cool gamers or that crowd. They want the people with the money. And as cool as we think we are, when we're in these specific crowds with hardcore fans, our money's the same as the guy who's played the game once or never even heard of it. The difference is there's a million times more of them than there is. So that's probably the group they're going to try to appeal to, or at least they should appeal to.
It's true. Like that's why I think Microsoft's approach of being like we're gonna have cloud. Just it's $1 start and you can play all our games.
Exactly. They're using it almost like a. This is a sad analogy to use, but like where the first hit's free, and then you keep coming back for more. And that's what Game Pass is. You pay $1, you start, you have too many games, you can't possibly beat them all in 1 month. So you're like, I'll stick with it. And then they keep adding more and more. And by the time they take something off, you've already got so much on your plate that you don't mind at all. And with the benefit of 10% off on anything, even without sales, if you do decide to stick with something or get the DLC, you're always getting a benefit. So it's really good to keep people infatuated with the platform and keep playing games as they come out. It's got to be great for player bases because some games aren't good enough to justify that full length purchase, but they're multiplayer or even games as a service. And if they don't have those players, they're going to die off.
Yeah,
And
we've seen a
I
lot
think
of
this is
games
the
as
kind of
service games die.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, the beginning of this year alone, they announced 4 or 5 between,
Seven.
Dice and
Seven
Seven.
died.
Oh, geez.
Seven died in the first 2 months. Or were announced to die
And
this
that's
year.
insane. But yeah, Ubisoft, EA, they announced all these games were failing, and some of them are free to plays, which, it's unfortunate because it's all microtransactions for their money. But some of them you have to buy in. Overwatch is a great example of that. They went free to play. And one of the reasons is because they were afraid of how little Overwatch 1 and 2 were change wise. I didn't see almost anything. Everything that was promised to us is still kind of coming,
I
kind of on
think
the way.
Overwatch 2 is very different from 1, but you'd only know if you were completely ingrained in it. Having
Yeah,
removing the barrier to entry was fine, but the monetization has not been ideal. Let's say it like that. I don't
yeah,
like how they're gating heroes.
I completely agree. It's one thing if you want to do customization, because I get it. Not everyone cares about looking cool, but someone is totally willing to spend $40 in a few days so that they can get all of the One Punch Man stuff. And that's totally fine. But as soon as you start locking play styles, characters, weapons, anything that's game changing behind stuff, you're gonna get a lot of pushback.
Yeah, and that's why with single player games I never understood why it's like we should just skip platform, because the only people
Yeah,
that benefits are really just whoever signs the deal to them. So in this case, Sony, which is
and the
ridiculous.
reason, yeah, the reason it's confusing to me too is people are like, oh, well, it's the same thing if you buy a
Not players.
studio or if you buy the rights to a game. But the difference is, if I buy the rights to, this game on my platform, it doesn't matter to me how well it sells. It doesn't matter to me how many people care about this IP going forward or what happens to the fan base. As the guy that says it's only on my platform, that's all I care about. If they want this game, they come to me. But if I buy a studio, not only am I paying for everything, I am trying to make sure this franchise grows. Because if it dies off, then I wasted a lot of money and I'm taking the hits.
Yeah,
So when I see people comparing constantly, oh, it's fine if we lock this exclusive down because they locked down this one. Well, no, the difference was these guys paid out of pocket for the entire studio. They're paying for their vacation time, their overtime. They're making sure they have good working conditions. There's so much that goes into it. And then they also have to recoup the costs of all that with the money they're making and put it towards the next game. But when you buy exclusivity, you're really just getting money and putting it aside so that no one else can play it on other platforms. And it
you're
doesn't
just trying to
actually
make yours look more
benefit anyone.
appealing.
Exactly. It's supposed to draw people into yours, but what it does is it makes the franchise have a higher entry barrier. And some people are just not willing to do that. If, say I'm not a big gamer, but I have one platform. If I see a cool game on a different one, but I'm not super huge into gaming, I'm probably just going to skip the game. I'm not going to buy a new platform just to play one game. And I get that, it's never one game, oh, we'll do this or that. And now there's 5 games you want. But I think they're missing the point that not everyone has the time to dedicate, hours into a new platform, buying a bunch of games. Then they see a different platform. They have to get that one to get those games. It's all about finding the one that's best for you between your friends, the community you have, the games you like. And I think Xbox has done a really good job with that because they have the cloud, the PC, the console. Hell, you don't even need any of those. You can buy some TVs now, and it comes built in. It seems a lot more consumer friendly in terms of entry. And I think that's good because the one thing Xbox has always been big on is the community between the multiplayer games, we used to see like 1 versus 100 where everyone had their little avatars coming around. There's always been a sense of community. And not to knock Sony, they do their own stuff too, but they've always been good at the single player, quote unquote, experiences. Whereas Xbox feels like it's more of a community, kind of a coming together of stuff. And I think that's what draws in certain people to each one because they're both good in their own way. But it
Yeah,
appeals to 2 different kinds of people.
and like Zuzu was saying here, he wants to see those the Sony exclusivity documents
Oh
from the.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know.
I,
I don't want to get into that too much, but I do want. I do. I'm going to comment on it now, but this whole Activision Blizzard acquisition thing has just been a mess. It's been a
oh yeah,
bloody mess. My problem
it's
with it has been mostly it's been like put my cards,
yeah.
and, and
And
it's
that's the
like
funniest thing. It's all about the COD, even though Microsoft's like, sweet, King, we'll finally have more mobile. Sweet, dead IPs. And everyone's like, but COD. And they're
what the
just kind of like,
card, but
what?
it's they had Minecraft. Like, why would they split the player
Exactly.
base? I thought it'd be crazy. I think the marketing alone for Xbox with COD will be fantastic for them, but
Yeah,
I think they're gonna treat Call of Duty like they treat Minecraft, where it's everywhere and it makes them a bunch of money so they can fund other stuff. Like all the weird stuff Double
exactly.
Fine's gonna make. That's what people aren't talking about. It's like, oh, we don't have COD on PlayStation. You'll have COD. No one cares. We don't care about COD.
Exactly.
I want to see the weird stuff
There's
Tim
no
Schafer and
benefit.
his teams are gonna come up with. I want to see the
Exactly.
crazy stuff that comes out of Tango. Like, I want to
Oh,
see
I'm
Raven make
excited with
something.
Tango after Hi-Fi.
I want to see whatever Raven decides to make.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it feels like COD is the excuse that Sony uses because they're trying to say, oh, this is big, this is how they could hurt us, even though there's absolutely no benefit to keeping Call of Duty exclusive. I mean, we were just talking about how games live or die on their fan base when they're multiplayer, and there's no reason to limit that for any reason. That's hurting money, the fan base, sales. It's idiotic. And anyone who truly believes that they're trying to lock down Call of Duty to their platform and not put it on everything, I mean, they're losing the forest for the trees. They definitely don't see the big picture. I you'd want every game if possible on everything because if you own the IP, you're still getting money for every sale. They don't
yeah.
care if it's a
You get that
PlayStation game.
70% on the PlayStation
Exactly.
30%.
I mean, even if it was 50-50, and I very much doubt it is, even if it
No.
was, the goal is to get all the players. They know there's a bunch of people who play COD on Sony consoles. They don't care. They just want it to be on everything. And that's how they're going to make a bunch of revenue that they could put, like you said, towards these other companies that are putting out really creative games and really flexing how they can go from one side of genres right to the other. I mean, if you told me 5 years ago that Tango was working on Hi-Fi Rush, and I know them, of course, for The Evil Within, and I'm imagining how Hi-Fi Rush would be. Oh, how is it horror themed? Oh, how does it tie into this? I had no idea that to be able to make something with that crazy art style, with the cell shading and just it looks so beautiful and you know cheesy in the best way. It's just not at all what I expected from them. And I'm
Japanese
excited because I'm hoping that happens more with all these studios. And like you said, especially Double Fine. They're
Double Fine has two
some
projects in
shitter's
the work.
crazy.
I have no idea what they're making, and that's the thing with Double Fine. You never know what they're making. It's like, they're not predictable in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, which is a good thing. I mean, yeah, on one hand, you love the predictability because that way you never feel like you're getting tricked. But on the other hand, it's video games. I would love to be blown away by something I'm not expecting. I'm so tired of the same games coming out every month that are a copy of the last one or something we saw last year. I miss that creativity. I miss the weird games. We used to get so many of those GameCube and Wii era 360. You'd see the weirdest shit, and that's what excited me when I didn't know the name or the IP, and its history. Just weird stuff. Those are fun.
That's
And
why I
I
love
feel
me
like,
some. It's like Suda Five One, you
yes,
know. It's like
oh,
he's gonna make whatever he wants. Uh,
exactly. And I'm just along for the ride.
yeah,
That's
it's
all I
like,
care about.
what is this? Is that time that him and Shinji Mikami made a game? Have you played Shadows of the
Yeah,
Damned?
yes, it's
It's
fantastic.
it's backwards compatible, but it's got pulled off the store.
Yeah, I
So
don't know
I have to
why
find
that
a
is.
physical. I don't know either. It must have been a licensing agreement with something because it was on
Yeah,
um EA Play, but there was no like notice that it was getting pulled, or I never saw
yeah,
it
it's just
because I would have just bought
ghosted.
it. It just disappeared, and I was like,
uh,
okay. But yeah,
yeah,
360
it's
is
it's
like
a great game.
360 is legendary for just weird ass games. That era,
Yeah,
like the Wii had
I
weird
think
ass games too.
yeah, like in general, I think it was from like 2005 to 2010. And granted, of course, there was stuff before and after, but that was when you could pick out a letter in the alphabet and say, I'm gonna look at games. And you would find anything from normal stuff to weird shit and everything in between. And it was great. Whether it was weird licensed games from companies you didn't expect, like Sneak King from Burger King, or if it was something very creative and intense that you've never heard of, like LSD, I remember being on, I think it was the PS1. Like,
Have you ever seen the PSP game WTF Work Time
yeah, I
Fun?
actually played it. I loved Work Time Fun. Oh my God, I've never met anyone. I,
I
I, I
remember
didn't think
playing it
people
and
knew it
seeing it, be like,
existed.
"What is this?"
It was the most. Didn't you like do weird minigame odd jobs and get like
Yeah, it
paid
was.
with fake
It,
checks?
yeah, it's just weird minigame odd jobs the game. But that's the thing.
Ugh.
It's like you don't see stuff like that as much anymore. Like you kind of
Exactly.
seen a resurgence with indie games, but with bigger budget games, no, not at all. Like games like Lollipop Chainsaw or even Wet. Wet is another game. It's just like what?
What? And the shame too is that I feel like a lot of those creative games back then couldn't be made today. The industry is too, I don't
It
want
is
to say
great.
safe, but they,
They
they
play
don't
it
want to
safe.
take risks anymore. Exactly. There's no more trying the weird things because, that might not make as much money as pumping out the same shit with a battle pass and a season pass and day one content.
I'm gonna be
I
honest
can't
with
tell
you.
you.
I feel
Go
like
on.
battle passes are getting a little long in the tooth, and people are getting tired of that shit.
I hope so because they've been long in the tooth for me for like 4 years now.
Yeah,
What was the game that's coming out? Suicide Squad, a
yeah, it's
single
got one.
player game, always online and a battle pass. Are you kidding me? Oh, I was excited at one point for this game,
It
but
looks
then I saw
cool,
that
and
and the
now it's
game's like,
like hype dead. Okay,
I also like that all four of their superpowers are now gun instead of,
everyone gets guns because it's
every,
easier.
which which makes Deadshot seem kind of redundant at that point, but that's fine. King Shark was bitten by a radioactive gun and he became
Now he
super
has now he has
um
super gun.
gun powers. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is that you talk about weird games, and there's a couple games that came to mind right away. The first one is the Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas, Oogie's Revenge.
Yes.
Have you ever played that?
On
I
the
have a
original
copy of my
Xbox.
hand right now.
Oh my god, I haven't thought of that game in years.
As I call
That
it, Oogie May Cry. That's my code
it
name for it.
it
Because it's
really is.
literally just Devil May Cry, but it's The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I'm like, how did I know this game
Uh,
existed?
I found that at like a book sale at school, and I saw on the back, you know, Jack Skellington with like a glowing mace whip thing, and I was like, "This looks awesome."
And
I
then
don't
you
remember
saw
this in the
Capcom
movie.
made it, and you're like,
Yeah,
wait, what? Because it's not on the front. It says Buena Vista Games on the front. And I'm like, all right. And you flip it over, it's like
yeah.
Capcom. And I'm like, oh, I'm in for a good time now.
That's what was weird. They didn't use it as like a sign, and it's not like they weren't known for amazing games then. This wasn't 40 years ago. It almost seemed like they were nervous to admit they're like, yeah, we worked on that. I was happy to find it out personally.
I almost feel like it was a Buena Vista Games thing. Like, we want to promote our own brand. You
Entirely possible.
know how it is. Uh,
Oh yeah.
the other couple of games that come to mind. Blinks the Time Sweeper. I know a lot of people shit on this game. I think with the Pac-Man repacked treatment with just like quality of life, better movement and whatever, it could be a really good game again. Like an
Yeah,
absolutely banger.
I can definitely see that. There's a lot of games that deserve, even if it's half that treatment. It doesn't have to be 4K, amazing graphics, beautifully rendered on Unreal Engine BS. As long as it can run decently and the controls are improved, because there are so many games I love and I'll go back to play them, and I've been ruined by modern controls. I pick up the controller and I try to play, and I'm like, I must be dumb. I don't know how to play anymore. My buttons don't feel right, and it's because everything is just so smooth these days. You take it for granted. The camera controls being stuck to like triggers, and buttons being unremappable. It's just a lot of these games that are fantastic feel like we talked about earlier harder to get that barrier of entry down, and it can kind of turn off people, especially fans who just are used to modern controls these days.
Yeah, that's why
Uh,
when they were like Metroid Prime remake
yeah,
and we're gonna
exactly.
have modern
Everyone was a little
controls,
worried.
I'm like,
Yeah,
there you go. That's what you do. That's how you bring back a game. Come on, Blinks is
exactly.
right here. It's right here. Come on.
There's so many games from that era too. I want to call it the mascot era. because it was when, Jack and Dexter, Crash Banuka, Spyro, everything. It was just, we have these characters, we want to make them, our brand, and everyone was fighting for that spot. Everyone wanted to be the Mario of the and we kind of had Jack and Dexter, Master Chief, and Mario at the time, and then I mean Mario's kind of always been there, but it shifted between Samus and Zelda a bit. I feel like Marcus Phoenix and Master Chief. I'm not sure what I'd say for PlayStation anymore. For a while, it definitely was Jack and Dexter. Then they kind of abandoned that, and then it was kind of Kratos. But then, not that they abandoned it, but they
Crash Bandicoot for
rebranded.
the longest time was the face of PlayStation, but
Yeah,
then
I
they
feel like
kind of
with
just
PS1 and 2.
mostly PS1, and then they just got rid of it, and now they're kind of like I don't think they have a recognizable mascot character. Whereas
Exactly.
whereas like Nintendo and Microsoft still have like Mario and Master Chief
Yeah.
as their mascot. So I know we were talking about this game before, not on the podcast, because this is the other game that we both want to come back in some form because it was just so wicked, and that's Dark Watch.
Yes.
Did you know that Dark
Oh,
Watch's developer High Moon Studio is now owned by Blizzard?
I did not know that. I thought High Moon had unfortunately wiped off,
No,
which is
they're part
almost
of.
the equivalent.
I think
They're
I think
part
they
of,
just got rolled into part of Activision Blizzard at this point. They might still be part of.
unfortunately, that might mean they're stuck in the COG machine, which means if this deal finally goes through, hopefully we can save them, along with another studio, Vicarious Visions, and of course Toys for Bob. Yeah, everyone. I would love to see them making creative, fun games again. We were talking about Evil West, which was a fantastic game. That gave Dark Watch vibes, even though it was a different style of game, because it had that Jericho feeling. It had Wild West meets Supernatural, and I feel like the entire point was that they don't feel like they mesh. The characters are always like, "This is fucking weird," and that's the vibe. And
And
I
you're just
kind of
like, I'm
love
in.
that they're pushing each other.
Yeah, High Moon apparently was working on Destiny at one point when um, Bungie was still part of Activision, and
Oh,
they
that's
made
true. If
the
they're part of them, then.
Deadpool game, the one that you can't buy
Yes.
anymore.
Can you not buy it anymore? I remember I had that on the.
For a time there, you couldn't buy it, so I don't know. Caesar.
I mean, it's totally possible. Deadpool is definitely a kind of is he licensed by who now character.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's he jumps around. That one was a fun game, but I don't think they got him as well as Midnight Suns recently and other stuff. And I think that's because, um, similar to other Marvel characters in DC, comics weren't done as well at the time. There was the craze of adding them to video games, but until they really got their movies, I feel like the characters and their lore didn't, get explored as much. Guardians of the Galaxy is another great example.
Oh man,
Even
that
though it
game
had
is
been
so
around
good.
for a while, oh, I love the game. It was a sleeper game of the year. I wish people had looked more fondly upon it, and I get why they didn't. The Avengers game was, oh
That's the
god,
Square problem again.
100%. It's always a Square problem when they're involved in some falls apart, which is sad. They used to be great, 20 years ago. Um, but
They were
yes,
pretty
uh,
good. Keep going.
what's pretty good?
Yeah, keep going.
Oh,
Keep
thank
going.
you. Yeah, with Guardians of the Galaxy, until the movie hit in like 2014 or whatever it was, I feel like people didn't even know the characters that much. And ever since then, with superheroes in general, people are really getting their first introductions with these characters. I mean, Ant-Man just introduced a bunch of fans to King the Conqueror and MODOK, for better or worse. He didn't look super great, but that's fine. Now people know he's a giant head chairman. And that's a lot of people's first takes with these characters. Spider-Man's another great example. Sam Raimi's trilogy killed it back in the day, which is why there were so many video games Activision, I believe, was the one making like 90% of them, and they were really good. People still talk about Spider-Man 2 and the swinging mechanic because there was so much love put into that, and I think it's because of how popular it was and how well that franchise was known. So I'm really happy to see all these movies coming out with superheroes, kind of getting people used to the idea that this is interesting beyond just nerd stuff, which is what The Boys has done for television. People who didn't care about superheroes and thought that it was too cheesy or too childlike, then they see A-Train running through someone and they explode, or Homelander melting an entire crowd of laser vision, and suddenly, oh, comics can be dark, comics can be interesting. Books in general have done a great job with that too, with Game of Thrones. Walking Dead is another huge popular one that's just modernizing very I want to say uncommon topics like zombies. Dorks like us, I'm gonna say dorks make fun of us. We love zombie stuff. We love horror. We love games, anime, but it's not exactly accessible to everyone. And I feel like when you make a TV show or Hollywoodify something, unfortunately,
God, don't get me started on the terrible anime. Because
yeah,
the thing is, they're like, we need to make live action Death Note. You know it already existed, right? They did it in Japan, and it was good. They did 2 movies, and they were good.
That's why
like,
we did it, and it was bad because we had to copy.
I should love those movies, unironically.
Oh yeah, no, it's the same with like the Mortal Kombat movie, for me at least.
Oh,
And
the original one?
Street Fighter one. Yeah, like it was cheesy, but I loved it. It was terrible in the best way. Or at least the
It was
first one. The
endearing.
second one is more. Exactly.
Like, there was stupid
as
lines.
funny as it is, yeah, it had a wholesome vibe to it, which I get it. It's Mortal Kombat. That's a weird thing to say, but it felt like everyone was a family in the cast. Like it was buddy, as they beat
Yeah,
the
I
shit out
smell
of each other.
something. Bullshit.
Yeah.
So many good lines in that movie. So many good one-liners.
It was surprising how well the casting was, because everyone, of course, back then, oh, this is cheesy, no one will like it. Kano felt like Kano. Johnny Cage, oh.
There was an update on the Grim Guardians story. Sorry to interrupt you. Apparently,
No worries.
the Nintendo, the eShop version's also down in the US. I'm gonna just pop on the eShop here in Canada and see if it's still there.
Yeah,
that's
interesting.
weird.
So that proves to us that it's not a Microsoft problem.
No, it's not a Microsoft problem.
Yeah, I wonder if it's an Inti Creates problem, or although if it was, why only the US? Maybe it's something wrong in the US.
Could be. Let me check.
Me.
Let me check
We're constantly fucking stuff up.
Yeah.
Ooh,
just glad to have all the stuff in.
Yes.
Why? Oh my god, I don't know where all the buttons are. I play Xbox too much, you can tell. Because I don't know where the buttons. Common problem. I went to press X and I'm like, no, it's Y. Oh god. Why? B's back.
That's what's funny. The Nintendo controller feels like the Pro one, like an Xbox controller. And then I look at the buttons for a second and I forget that they're all inverted on the right side. And I'm like, oh, this is going to mess with me. And then you pick up a PlayStation controller and everything's out the window, because now there's no letters. Now we're dealing with shapes.
It's still on the it's still on the Canadian one. I'm looking right at it right now. There it is. It's still here. So it's it's strictly an America thing. This is weird.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
definitely.
Gonna tweet back to Nico Bellica here, because he brought it to my attention.
Now had anyone tweeted out about it that works with the game, or is this just
Nintendo Life reported that it was off the eShop, currently unavailable in the eShop, and he was commenting on it. So
gotcha.
As a Nintendo centric channel, I don't hate the people that work at Nintendo Life, because they're not crazy people who act like Xbox doesn't exist.
No, I agree. They don't seem as biased. Like, I get
Well, they're
it. Anyone
biased.
who works,
Oh, they
well, yeah,
biased, but
yeah. I mean, anyone who works for any platform is. But what I mean is, they're not volatile about it. Like they prefer Nintendo, but I've never seen them really put down PlayStation, Xbox, PC. You
nope.
know who they're going to bat for, but they're not spitting at anyone when they do it, and I can appreciate that. In general, any journalist who, if they're going to be biased, that's fine. But at least, not be an asshole about it. Unfortunately, we know quite a few who are both biased and assholes about it. And they don't
Yeah,
need to be.
they don't. That's the thing. I get that it's easy to just be like, my thing is the best. And it's like I have
Oh,
no
of course.
problem with, like, if you want to play PlayStation games, that's fine. I don't care. And I hate
Yeah.
whenever we say like, "Yo, can we get an Xbox port?" It's always like, "Just buy a PlayStation, bro." Guy, I
Yeah.
don't I don't want to buy a PlayStation. There's like maybe one game on it I want to play, and it's gonna come to PC. The reason I don't want it on
Exactly.
the reason I want it on Xbox is because the PC ports for some of these games, particularly Gust ones, like Atelier,
Oh,
are
yeah.
not great. They're not good, and I don't like using them, so I don't. So I
Yeah.
the last one
Plus,
was fine, but there's like a 90% of the way into the game, and then performance dips, and just like I have to adjust settings
oh,
again. Or you start the
that's a
bloody
shame.
game up and it's a 720p window on your 4K display. So it's this little tiny window, and it's like, how do I turn on full screen and put it up to 4K? Why isn't there a
No, no, no.
pre-launcher?
One or the other.
It's
Oh,
like
yeah. It's
problems
just
that
that
have
it's unoptimized.
it's that the Japanese don't have a lot of like PCs in their house to play games on.
Yeah.
So, and I get it. That their apartments are smaller, they're kind of more compact, so PC gaming's not as big there. Makes sense. It's fine.
Yeah.
But the
And they're huge on portable. So, I mean, why have something big at home when you're always on the go anyway?
yeah, and that's the thing. I have no problems with that. It's just a little foresight, or just letting someone who is PC centric be able to make some of these decisions would be probably better.
Yeah. Like at least talking to someone and saying, hey, you know the PC market. Does this look good? Did we change anything? Even if it's just one guy that's the PC guy that has a checklist before a game launches. It doesn't have to be anything crazy. Just, give them a heads up.
Yeah, it feels like just, I don't know if Steam should do something about it. Like,
Yeah.
could you just do like a, oh yeah, this is not good. We should fix this.
Yeah.
Like, launching in a window and making you have to go through the opening cutscene before you can access the menu. That's just an oversight.
It's nothing
And they
that's
fixed it
game breaking, but
afterwards. But it's
yeah.
something that if you'd given it to someone who has a big 4K display, would figure out. I have a feeling it's set to 720p because that's the kind of things they. The
I
thing
can
is,
agree with you there.
yeah, I don't hate that idea, but I really wouldn't mind just to be able to buy these games on Xbox and just be able to play them.
Oh, 100%.
Because it's
And that's one of the things that confuses me. If not only if you have it on the Windows Store, but if you have it already working with DirectX, there's no reason it can't work on Xbox.
yeah,
Why
if
did
you
it take us years to get Age of Empires? It was first party.
uh there's a couple more issues with that. Like, you could probably just port it and be like, yeah, you need keyboard and mouse.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I expected. If you were going to work on a, you know, controller compatible version, which they did a fantastic job on, I thought that would have been the thing on the back burner. But the port would have been there right away. And I'm not saying it was a good idea to port and only have keyboard and mouse available, but I feel like some communication about that would have helped. I don't think they talked
I
about it
wonder if
really
it's
up
because they
until it
were
was
working
almost
on other
launch.
things. I don't know. Are they gonna do the rest of the other, what, 3 games?
Well, I've
Does
heard.
Age of Empires 1 even have anything, or is it just I don't play a lot of Age
I
of
think
Empires, so
I
I'm
played.
not.
Oh, no problem. I had played a lot of two at like a computer club at Boys and Girls Club when I was growing up, and they had a huge area with like 20 computers at least. and we used to all play on there and play LAN, and it was a lot of fun. I think Age of Empires 2 kind of absorbed everything from like the campaigns and maps, and then there's like mythology. The new fourth one they said is coming to Xbox later this year, so we will have this definitive, one with all the old stuff remade and fantastic, and then the newest version.
What about
It
3
is
though?
weird though. Yeah, I don't know why they haven't really talked about. I mean, maybe it's because it's more of an off-brand, well, not off-brand, but like a side game offshoot kind of thing. Um,
I mean,
I'm not 100% sure.
they sell it as a whole bundle on the thing. It's just 2's the only one with someone else on the rights to 3 or something. I don't know.
Maybe it
It's
could be a
weird. I don't know
promotion
if
that
it's
like.
just. I feel like if you have 2 running, and you have the control scheme, and you can set the control scheme in each of them. I guess they're just trying to do the newest one next. Like 2's the most
Yeah,
popular. Like,
exactly, and then
we'll be
four is the
real.
priority.
If 4 is the
Yeah,
new one that you want it, and then probably 3 will come after. Weird
yeah, maybe
order.
they'll do. Yeah, I get the order. It's more of the communication. If that is their plan, that would be great. Like, hey, for fans of this one, it's in the pipeline. It's not the focus, but we know we know what you want. And that's one thing I can't give credit to Xbox for. I like them. I like their games. They need to be better at communicating what's in the works. And I'm not saying we need an update every 5 days, but we can't keep having these shows where we have fans praying that we're going to hear from these first party studios and then nothing. Radio silence. I mean, we haven't heard anything about Fable. We just keep hearing rumors. And
Oh, the
I'm not
compulsion.
saying,
Compulsion. We've
yeah,
heard literally nothing about whatever they're working on.
there's so many studios, and like I said, we don't need these crazy updates. Hi-Fi was a cool stealth drop, but you
You
need to
can't
give
stealth
fans
drop
something to look
everything.
forward to. Exactly. You need something for them to look forward to. Even Starfield. We are excited for Starfield. We know it's coming eventually, sometime this year, hopefully before July, but now we still don't, and no one's talked about it. And I just think that's crazy. You don't have to give exact dates even. You almost don't even have to give dates. You can just say, hey, we're working on it. We're shooting for around this time. Even say summer. I'm not looking for May 13th. I'm not asking for a specific date. I'm just saying, give me a ballpark. Tell me what's going on. And then I don't have to worry or hype things up. I can keep it nice in the middle of just, here's my expectations. It's pretty standard. I hate having to worry for first parties when they're coming. I already have to worry if a third party game is even going to come to my platform, because if it's anything Japanese related, God knows. If it's not Japanese related, maybe. I guess it depends what mood they're in. Like
Also, I
with Mega
mean,
Man
like,
Battle Network.
oh my gosh, I love it. Mega Man Battle Network. I mean,
I'm
I
still
just
so
saw
salty.
this. I saw a trailer for Scars Above because my girlfriend saw it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, cool." I'm like, "All right," and I'm like, "This looks
I
kind of
do like,
interesting." I just picked it up, and I was
yeah,
like, "It's $40, physical," and I'm like, "All right, this is a kind of it strikes me as one of those one-off 360 games you'd pick up, or something someone would give you as like a present, and you had no idea what it was. And you're just like, well, I'm gonna play this game because I got this game as a present. And you're just pleasantly
exactly.
surprised because the game is solid. IGN gave it a 5
Yeah.
out of 10 because apparently it didn't challenge them at all, although the game defaults to easy. Which I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go with their recommendation, and I found it to be reasonably challenging the whole way through.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of games that people don't realize that are okay being 7 out of 10s. Just an average playthrough. You enjoy it. Nothing crazy, but nothing disappointing.
I hate the
Not every
fact that
game has to
7 out
be
of 10
a
is
blockbuster.
considered average.
Yeah, 7, I mean, 5 out of 10 is what should be quote average. They used to joke about it in Game Informer magazines 15, 20 years ago almost, where it was like 10's the best, 9 is, it's great, eight's alright-ish, 7 and below is garbage. And it's like, that's not how numbers work. It's not how any of this works. But that's what people tend to think.
Yeah, oh, I
You see
can't play a game
Metacritic
if
now
it's
too.
under than 7.
You say, yeah, you see Metacritic, it's like, oh, it didn't even score in the 80s? Garbage. Oh, it didn't get a 90? It's not even a good first party. Bro, who cares about these numbers anyway? I don't give a shit. I play something if it's fun. And I've seen a lot of shit tier games that are fun. Sometimes that's what makes them fun,
Yeah,
especially in the 360 era. Oh, the amount of broken trash games that you would find in like the bin for $2 and then bring home and get 30 hours of entertainment out of. Oh, I didn't care if that game was rated -5 out of 10. I had
Big
fun playing
Rigs.
this broken piece of shit.
Big Rigs comes
Oh,
to mind. That's one of
yes.
those games, just like,
Oh,
who made this? But like,
yeah.
or like in the DOS ages with like um Redneck Rampage and weird
Yeah.
games like that. Like they're just throwing anything at the wall and see what sticks.
Yeah. Those fun gameplay loops, you can have a fun gameplay and I'll keep coming back. I'll keep wasting my time with that. If we want to judge a game based on content, you look at games like gacha games, Genshin Impact. That game would get a 0 out of 10. It updates content every now and then it stops. But people love it because they can gamble for waifus and because it plays like Breath of the Wild.
Kind of.
Every
In
game's
in a
different depending on what you rate it on.
I don't want to downplay Genshin because it's people's favorite game, and I can understand why people like it. There's
Oh, of
nothing
course.
terrible about it, in my opinion. I think my
Besides
problems
the
with it,
gambling part.
gambling is something, but I don't think that's just the gotcha thing.
Oh,
I
yeah, and
could
that's
do
all I
without
mean.
it, but
Yeah, I'm not knocking anyone. I play gacha games myself. I've also wasted plenty of time on Genshin before lots of patches that made me find it less fun. And I have nothing against the gambling aspect if you're obviously paying with your own money and intending to. There's a lot of terrible practices out there that are really tricking kids. What I mean is, I hate when a game has fun features, but you can't play them unless you get lucky rolling the dice. Like, maybe there's a character you really want to try that's cool and fun to play as, but you spend $50 and you still don't get them. That's when it's, losing a point in the category for me. Just because it's hiding the potential from you. It's somewhere in the game, the fun part you want to try, and you get to see other players doing it, but you're locked out because you didn't get lucky enough. Not even that you didn't pay enough, you didn't get lucky enough. That's
yeah,
when it's
I
unfortunate.
could do a whole thing about that kind of game and why I just try to avoid them now. Even
Yeah,
though people
that's
like you
smart.
should come play Blue Archive with us, and I'm like, nah.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like,
hard once you get hooked too, not to spend the money, and it gives you those really bad habits. I've wasted plenty of money after I told myself I don't need this character or this thing, whether it's to stay relevant in the meta, to get rewards, because your friends are doing it. It's a rough business practice, and they'll take advantage of it especially with that FOMO, that fear of missing out. Um, that's why every game has
now
these
listen to
practices
your
now.
old Bo, listen to your old friend Baloo. Bare necessities, man.
Bare
You
necessities.
find you can
Listen
live
to
without
bare
it. Get along up.
necessities.
Okay. Yep. No copyright claims. No singing on the show. But
Edit that part out. Bleep him.
it's the mouse. You'll anger the mouse. Though to be honest, the mouse has been pretty good about stuff lately.
Yeah,
Though
it's about.
they're not afraid to go into the gotcha games, which is
God
absolutely
no.
ridiculous to me.
Yeah, the mouse owns 90% of the planet, so it's hard not to give them your money somehow.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm not saying don't play
Of
gotcha games
course.
or don't do whatever. My problem has been more or less that so many games are like, we have to do this to be relevant. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't think you
exactly.
do. I really don't think
Yeah.
you do.
And I think that's one of the things that drives some of the aspects and innovation away from every game thinks it needs a checklist. And you brought this up earlier, how you don't like crafting in games now. And I can
Yeah.
totally agree. If a game needs it, like we were talking about Resident Evil, that's a great example. You're scrounging for ammo, you're picking up pieces of shit lying on the ground to make 4 handgun bullets. That's great. It's thematic, it adds to the game. I don't need to play a game where I can pick up a pile of sticks and make a tent or a campfire and it's irrelevant to the game and it's just there for padding. They focus so much on these crafting systems and it's just not necessary. And every game thinks it needs to do it. You know, survival, crafting, battle passes, battle royales. There's like checklists now. And not only do these games not do that part well because they're just trying to get it done, it takes away from the creative time for adding fun stuff and
Yeah.
working on actual gameplay. It's
You
a
mentioned the
shame.
game earlier.
Which one?
Avengers.
Yeah,
Avengers
that's
is
a great
literally the
example.
poster child for there was a good game in here, but someone made us make it games as a service. That is
Yeah, if that was a
literally that
single
game.
player game, oh, it could have been great
I
because I
mean,
love the gameplay.
well,
It
I mean,
had,
that first section where you're playing as Tony Stark and you're like flying around and doing whatever. I'm like, this is wicked, and it's like, oh, I got Iron
yeah,
Man now. I get to fly around and do stuff, and then I'm playing as him. The next mission, okay, I need you to stand in these 4 points and kill waves of dudes.
yeah.
And you just like,
When
I
it
just put
did, the
down the
story
controller.
beats, yeah, the story beats were really good. Like when you're fighting Taskmaster as Black Widow, I was like, oh, this is a really cool boss fight. It's interesting. And then it was like a bunch of stages of, like you said, stand near the thing, kill the 4 guys, get to the end. That was like, oh, this is less fun. And then you play a level that's based around the hero, you know, getting their powers and, uh, you know, how they work. So it sets up the level around that. And you're like, oh, this is,
Hey, Crystal names. Oh, oh, he disappeared. Uh-oh. Oh, he's back.
I have no idea what happened. Sorry.
That
It
was weird.
connected. And I was like,
It's fun.
no.
This is disconnected mid-sentence. What was I say? Yeah, all the introduction missions where it's like, play this hero, check out their powers, get to learn it. Good. All the stuff you had to play in the middle, bad. And then it's like, and then
Exactly.
they tried to gate you with gear, like gear levels, and I just was like, my time's more valuable than this. I'm gonna go play something else. I think that something else was playing Resident Evil 2 again for the 50th time.
Yeah, when replaying a game for the 50th time is a more valuable way to spend your time, you got to realize that the game needs some work.
I
You
don't
got to
think
do
it's the
something.
game needed work. I think the game didn't need the live service. I think I would have just made a
Oh yeah.
like a co-op mode, sure, but
If they had focused on the same with those introduction to level kind of things, made it, you know, a co-op game with your buddy or even a single player focused one, and only made levels like that, it would have been perfectly fine. Guardians of the Galaxy was a great example of that. It did not try to pad anything. It was, you know, an interesting runtime of here's a story, here's
was
the
it
game,
20,
now it's
30
done.
hours, I want to say? It
I
wasn't
think it
super
depends
long. It
on
had a lot of weird
collectibles.
bugs though. And
I believe it did at launch, yeah. There was a sound bug that would mess with me. I would turn in game, and every time I turned to a certain angle, the sound would cut out, which made conversations really annoying and weird because sometimes I'd rotate the camera to look at someone and it would cut the sound out, or the music would stop on the ship. And that bugged the hell out of me. It made cutscenes unbearable when it would do it on its own.
how many
People would
times did
be
you
in
try
and
and
out
close the
talking
fridge door?
every time. Although, to be fair, they do comment on it eventually, and I don't know if that's because of the bug or if it was planned.
Oh,
But
it was planned. It was 100% planned because
uh,
I don't know. My playthrough Mantis comments on it. It's like, oh, it's this one. I'm like,
yeah,
Mantis. Oh, you.
they
That
did a
game
great
is
job with Mantis too. The
Honestly,
voice
I feel
acting,
that
the characters.
I feel like Gamora steals the show.
Yeah,
That actress, she steals the show.
she did fantastic.
Oh
I
my
mean,
god.
even Adam Warlock, uh, and all that stuff, because that came out of nowhere. It felt like. But then I looked back at the story, and there were beats that kept leading up to that, and it was really impressive. I couldn't keep a hand on where the story was going. Like it kept throwing surprises at me. Every time I thought I knew what was going on, it was like, oh, we're done with that. We're doing this now. And it worked. It was really great. It didn't, it didn't just throw crap at the wall and expect you to understand it, but it also didn't belittle your intelligence with the characters. Like it kind of assumed you knew some of the universe, but it was happy to teach you what you didn't know,
Well,
and then it
especially if
moved
you
on to the
found all the
next
extra
interesting thing.
stuff. I remember when I
Exactly.
found the bit about the assassins. I don't want to get into it because it's spoilery, but if you find the ring for the assassin's ring, and she talks about Thanos,
Oh
and it's
yeah.
like, and I'm like, oh, it's comic book Thanos. It's not dumb movie plots Thanos, which I never understood why they did
Yeah.
this instead of.
MCU Thanos had a weird way of doing things. Comic book Thanos wasn't smarter, it was arguably dumber, but it fit his character more.
Look, man, he just wanted to get laid.
I mean, people have died for less, and many have died for getting laid.
No,
So I can't argue with that.
it's. I mean, that guy's crazy. That's why it was so funny to me.
uh, I think
It's
it's
like,
even funnier for fans who don't know about this version of Thanos. Like they only know the MCU, and then they're gonna look up stuff about him because they're interested, and then they're gonna find out that's the real one, and they're like,
what? Or they'll find the ring and she'll be talking about it and be like, wait, what? That's not
there
how
was
the
a
movie said it was. No, they
yeah, there was a whole area, I think, like the collector's uh ship or something. Like I know the collector's an interesting character, but I think he had like an emporium or a little ship docked, and you could explore it. There was all sorts of little tidbits and facts and fun stuff. I mean, hell, I'm sure people were interested to see what Cosmo was after they found the Russian telepathic dog. I can't imagine how people were like, well, now I need to look this guy up. He's a little fluffy boy. It's a
he's a
good pupper.
fluffy. He's a good boy. I am the good
He's a
boy,
good boy.
Peter Queen.
Piotr
Peter,
Queen.
Peter.
Cosmo is the good boy.
I love Cosmo.
Oh, they did a great job with the characters. I was so surprised because it wasn't just well written with the characters according to the comic lore. It was like the voice acting was on point, the mannerisms. I was super impressed by that game, and
That's
it
like in
really is a
Game
shame
Pass soon,
that
isn't it?
y- uh, it might have just gone. I I think it was January or
Hmm.
February that it left. I could be wrong.
I think it's
Um,
soon. I think it's still on there. I have a physical, so I'm not worried.
yeah, I ended up picking it up digitally because of that. I mean, that's another thing that's great about Game Pass. I am also part of the crowd that wasn't looking forward to that game because of what happened with the Avengers, but because it was on Game Pass, I gave it a try, and that, like I said, I was blown away. And
I
then
bought it
I
because
bought it. Did
Quack was talking about it, and he's like, "Yo, guys, this game's
yeah,
legit." And he's like, "This game is legit." And I'm like, "All right." I saw it on sale. I'm like, "I'm in."
and that's the reason I played it in the first place. I was just gonna let it slide by, and then he's like, "No, this is actually good." So I was like, "All right," and I got way more than I bargained for in a great way.
I I
And I
think
think
it's a
that's
I think
the
it's
thing.
solidly a good game. I think it's got a
Mhm,
few weird control things. Like story wise,
mhm,
fantastic. I think the way that you control the different blasters was weird. And I looked to
mhm.
Scarlet Nexus that came out the exact same year that just did that whole system better.
Oh, absolutely. It started Nexus with the assists and everything too.
Yeah,
Did really well. The one
yeah,
thing I can blame Guardians of the Galaxy for during the combat, you know how you'd pull out the Walkman and play a song and things would get all chaotic, like it's your Ultra?
yeah.
Um, I feel like they didn't do as much with that as they could have. Originally, people thought it would be like a rhythm-based thing, that would help you in combat, and instead you just kind of played a song and everyone got invincible. I think it would have been interesting if they had some gameplay mechanics with that. Not that the combat was boring, but it almost got a little stale after a while. They did
Yeah,
keep it, moving with adding all those different blaster abilities, but some of them just weren't good for combat or just not useful. Um, and the freezing one was great, but you get that so early on, you just stick with that for a while.
yeah, that's kind of the thing. Like even Scars Above here, which footage is playing, you get the four different. It's like electricity, fire, the freeze blaster, and then the last one's acid, which I don't have footage of in here, but it's wicked. It's an acid shotgun. Brings me back to old Prey. Uh,
Butthole
2006.
doors.
2006 Prey is amazing. And no one
I
can tell
love
me
the butthole
otherwise.
door prey. Um, it had the funniest intro to a game, just because I had
The,
no idea what the game was when I first played it.
and then the Don't Fear the Reaper playing on the.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's honestly
Oh,
like top tier, and it's one of those weird because it uses it tech. What is this the same? It's tech the same one as Doom 3 and is Tech 3 or Tech 4? I can't remember what it is, but it uses it tech.
it might be both. Yeah.
It's one of those.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
that.
especially for all the walking on walls and all that.
Man, that game is crazy. It's short, but
Yeah.
it is crazy good.
It was one of those games similar to the Darkness and what's the one where you're fighting homeless people that I can't think of? Condemned.
Condemned?
Um,
Condemned
yeah.
was
It
good, but then it kind of just goes
yeah.
wonko. And then the second
It,
game, oh my god.
that one just started rough.
The Condemned 2
Never
started good,
recovered.
and then it just kind of went eh, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
It was great for being a beat the shit out of homeless people simulator. It was not great for being a murder mystery detective-y kind of game. It started that way. It kind of devolved as it goes. It was still fun combat-wise, and I beat up a lot of homeless people. A lot of homeless people. I don't know if that's the point of the game though, because if it's not,
I
it's
think I
definitely
picked
going
it
to
up for
lose
like two
points.
bucks at one point, and the PC it has a
Yeah.
bad PC port because that's how I played it.
Oh, that's a shame.
Well, it's just of the era where it's just not great.
Oh, of course. Yeah. One of the ones that actually did make the jump to PC pretty well was Fear. That
Fear was that's Monolith though, and Monolith's bread and butter is was PC.
yeah. But of that
Fear's
era
really
in
good.
general, there were few and far in between that made the jump. Uh, I'd say as well as Fear did. And you're right. That was a fantastic game. I loved all three of them, although I can't say each one was good for the same reasons, or that Free
No.
was good in general. But I still enjoyed it.
I
God,
mean,
that was a dark franchise.
Monolith made all sorts of great games.
Yeah.
Like Blood's there, baby. Blood. Shogo was Shogo them? I
um,
think Shogo is them. Hold on.
my
It's
answer is
hard because
maybe.
like the other brother one Monolith though. Uh,
Let's see.
is the right one. Yeah, Blood Claw. Yep. Shogo. Yeah, Shogo was them.
Okay.
They did do Shogo. They made the 2001 AV game, Alien vs Predator. They worked on No One Lives Forever 2, which is a game that really needs to come back, and that's Fear. Oh, they did Condemned. Talking about Condemned, and it was that.
Yes, and that's what's sad is that they did a really good job of one port, and then a really not great job in the other port.
I don't know. It's so weird that the PC port is just in a weird state. Maybe it was really, really good at the time, but it wasn't forward thinking like some of the other ones.
That's
Like
true.
Fear you can solve a lot of problems with it, but with community patches and better textures because it like caps out at a weird resolution.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you know who I used to mix Monolith with?
who?
Monolith Soft. Not the same guys, but I used to be like, oh, I know these guys. They made Xenoblade Chronicles.
No,
And it's like, no, they did.
Monolith's
Yeah,
making
the
Wonder
Xenoblade
Woman.
Saga. Who is?
The new Wonder Woman's
Monolith?
Monolith. Yeah, what?
Oh.
They've
It's
been
either going to be
making like
really good or really weird.
they apparently made Shadows of Mordor, but like what happened to all their cool experimental stuff?
Yeah.
Also, someone bring back No One Lives Forever, please. Thank you.
Yeah. And
I've
Eternal Darkness, I know that's not related, but I just want Eternal Darkness, so I'm throwing that out into the ether. Someone please make the
well
creative horror games again.
the creator dude was working on it, working on something, but that was the same guy that ruined his company by Almost Human. Or is it Too Human? Too
Yeah.
Human?
Too Human. Yeah.
It's
I
free
remember
on
it
the
was Too
Xbox
Human.
Store. You can play it.
There's so many weird ones like that. Like Lost Odyssey for the longest time was also free for no reason. I mean, I was glad,
Oh,
but
you can't you
it was
there's
never
a
explained.
because of the lawsuit that happened with about that happened with Too Human.
Mhm.
Uh, they can't sell it. Microsoft cannot sell it.
Well,
They can still distribute it, but they cannot sell it for money because of the way that the license agreement went with Epic Games and one Mister Tim Sweeney, because they didn't give poor Silicon Knights access to Unreal 3 back in the day, so they had to reverse engineer it.
yeah. You know, I can at least respect that they kept it up because I know a lot of companies would immediately just delist it if they couldn't sell it.
Yeah, I know I do give them props for that. It's like, yeah, you can just play it, and it's back compatible. It's not good.
Yeah.
It's
Oh yeah, no, it's not great at all, but it's there, which is nice.
it's
It's
important
someone's favorite
history.
game. Yeah, and that's one thing that Phil likes to harp on that I hope the next guy also does. We need a better way to preserve our games because holy shit, people are craving remakes, remasters of games from 10, 20 years ago, and they're willing to pay full price again just so they can play the same thing they already own on modern consoles. It's it's frustrating because on one hand, you know people aren't going to want to preserve it because then they can resell it to you when they remake it. But on the other hand, you're going to lose those to history. How many games do we have where the source code is gone or the only way to play it is through fan translation on a fan made version of fan code? It's like 1% original game at that point. We need to have, whether it's a company, a group of people, someone that's allowed to hold on to these games that are just discarded and done, and at least recorded, if not for history, for replayability by anyone. Instead of
That's
all
what
these companies that are arguing against it, it's frustrating.
Embracer's been trying to do like a museum type, from my
Yeah,
understanding, and that's
I
cool.
think that'd be a great idea. Yeah,
But the other problem is you have all these live service games that die, that just the servers shut down
exactly.
and they can't be played ever again. And I don't want to harp because some people come into some sort of misunderstanding that I think that should keep the servers up forever. And
Yeah,
that's not what I'm saying because I know you can't keep the servers up forever. But
yeah,
there should be some sort of like rule or
yeah,
something that says that they have to have some sort of playable version so it can be preserved for future generations, for future
exactly.
people to be able to play it. I don't understand why saying that, it'd be really nice to play this game again. And yeah, I get it, but like I know Godfall, like we harp on not Godfall, Babylon's Fall, and some of those other games. People harp on, it's like, oh, they weren't good anyway. Yeah, but that doesn't mean they shouldn't exist anymore. Like
Exactly.
just because a
There's
game
no
isn't
game
good,
that doesn't deserve it.
it like was that basically a year?
Yeah. Oh, it wasn't even a year. I think it was a few weeks before the year it hit,
I
which is
think
so depressing.
it yeah, because they shut it down in January, and it came out like February, January the year prior. It's like
Yeah.
the game's useless. The disc's got nothing on it. You can't play it. So if you find it
Yeah, and
somewhere, it's just
unfortunately, that's a problem in general these days. No one puts anything on the discs anymore.
they do. There is a playable version of Psychonauts 2 on the disc. I did check,
Oh, nice.
but the thing is that there were patches afterwards that
Yeah.
added other things. So,
And I get
but
one of the reasons why they do that. You know, discs are only so big. I remember when I used to play Final Fantasy, for example, and you had to put free discs into the 360. You know, I'm not saying I want to relive those days. I'm grateful for some online patches.
I think you'll find that the Japanese companies in particular will have a playable version on the disc.
Hmm.
That's how they do. That's how they work. Like, you seem to be more digital than physical. Lost Odyssey
Yeah.
is for it. I've been trying to find a physical copy of Lost Odyssey for reasonable, but I actually have a copy of Tales of Arise here. And it's 2 discs because it actually has a Series X and a Xbox One version, and you can install
Yeah.
either. They're separate versions. They're not smart delivery.
Yeah. I have a fun story about that game. So I ordered the collector's edition because I'm a huge Tales of fan. And I got an email from them because this is, right when COVID's happening. And they're like, hey, so there's been a fuck up and you're not going to get your game for a while. And I was like, oh. But then at the bottom, they're like, but we feel really guilty about that and we want you to be able to play day one. So here's a digital code. So I put in the
I
code,
forgot.
started playing day one, and a day and a half later, the game came with the collector's edition. They told me it'd be weeks, maybe a month, and it came like a day late. But they still gave me an entire digital copy, so I kept my unsealed collector's edition copy with my statue and all that, and it's great. But it was so fantastic of them to reach out and do that. So many companies give you that, like, well, it sucks to suck, but eat it. Like, we hear in our chat all the time, oh, I forgot I pre ordered this game, but it finally came. Or, oh, I forgot the physical's
Oh,
here. It's
the
a
L
month
Link.
and a half late.
Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate when a company does something like that because I get it. They technically gave me a free copy of the game. Sure, I paid for the big bucks collector's edition, but they gave me a Series X copy for free. And it costs them money, so I get that not every company can do that. But I appreciate when a company goes out of their way to try to make up for something like that.
Yeah,
I
Bandai's been
I feel
pretty
like,
good actually.
oh, absolutely. I think they're one of the top companies on my list right now for just customer service, quality with games, and putting stuff out that doesn't feel ass backwards broken on release. Which is unfortunate that there's so many in that list that are doing that.
Capcom's been pretty good too, but we'll
Yeah.
see. I have a feeling that the fact that there was a pre-release for Resident Evil 4 and there was a patch on it, that there might not be a playable version on the disc. But it's only a Series X disc.
That's true.
Excuse me. So it should have a playable version. I know Devil May Cry 5 does, but again, patches afterwards.
Yeah. There's so many day one patches these days. Not that I'm not grateful for the ability to patch, but it's almost like
Look
please
at
just send the game out working.
look at Atomic Heart. Preload 80 gig
Oh
game.
yeah.
Day one, 80 gig
60 gig
patch.
update. Yeah. Oh.
I think it was. You're
And
right. I think it was 60 gigs, but Still,
Yeah,
absolutely
no,
insane.
you're right. Yeah, it's almost the size of the game. I think was it Zuzu who was actually posting the pic earlier, but he was like, "Oh, look, we got a giant patch. It's bigger than the game." Are they putting? I think he was talking about Halo Infinite. He's like, "Is Halo Infinite 2 coming on this? The download?" It was like 100 gigs or something. He had to patch. It's
What,
it's
really?
crazy. Yeah, let me double check if it was him or not. Someone had posted it in the chat earlier, and
Oh,
I
oh
thought it was
no!
really
Did I
funny.
accidentally turn on? Oh, I accidentally launched Halo Infinite. What am I doing? No, stop. Uh, uh, just okay. It is updating. How big is this update?
I don't know.
I
I
have
gotta
Halo
update it.
Infinite installed on PC because I just prefer to play it keyboard and mouse, and the keyboard and mouse is still broken on Xbox. Last time I checked, unless they fixed it.
Wait,
It was
I
weird
hope they did. Go on, sorry.
because I don't know if you ever saw it. I think I posted it, but it's weird because you would like you'd move the mouse and you could only move in the boundary of the screen. So it's like your mouse was a stick, and you could only move it in the direction of the stick, like in the
That's so
boundary of the
absurd.
circle, but it was a square instead of a circle, and it's so weird. You'd probably realize it if you were playing, like using it, but it's just like,
Mhm.
what happened? Why is this like this?
Yeah, which is weird
Um,
because there's a version for both too.
yeah,
It's not like they didn't have to get the controls down.
yeah, I reported it though, many moons ago, but what is the?
It's only for a chat, and I swear I'm not making this up. I have
No,
no
I
idea
no,
where
it's
this
updating
is.
right now. It says it's updating, but it's what? Oh god, what? Hold, wait, what? It just disappeared off my what? It's just gone off the list. Okay, okay,
Hi, Halo.
bye.
Going on an adventure. What's Smith Image?
So weird. It was preload. I did have it installed on my computer here. Ah, yes, my fatal frame made in the Blackwater footage. Gotta rep that Ryza skin. And that was something I
Yeah.
wanted to talk about. It's actually been driving me nuts forever. If you go on your Xbox and you go into the store and you type in Gust or Atelier or Ryza, you will get a bunch of hits for DLC, for Koei Tecmo games, for costumes, for characters from Gust characters, but none of the games that they cross
Oh,
promote.
oh, it's so sad.
It's so weird. It's like we went through all this effort to make all this great cross promotion. Like here, have this Atelier Ryza outfit. Just play Fatal Frame with it. Do it.
Which, on one hand, is great. That's one of the outfits I used a lot because I love the character and I wish I could play the games. But you know, it'd be cooler than that. Playing the games. Give me the
Yep.
games.
Yeah. All you had to do was put the games on the store.
And then I give you the money, and then I get the game.
Yeah.
This is known as business.
Yeah. It's just so weird to me. Yeah, if you type in
Yeah.
Ryza, you get Dead or Alive 6 costumes. Uh full results. Hold on. Let's see. You get 6 hits on Dead or Alive costumes for Altair character costumes for Dead or Alive. There's a Claudia one. There's a Ryza one. There's one that's blocked out here, which is for. There's a Ryza hat outfit. Oh, this is the one for Fatal Frame, right?
Such depression.
Oh, apparently the food. Yeah, it's for Fatal Frame. It's the one I was showing there. honestly, it's just so weird. Koei
Yeah,
Tecmo has been the weird, like the weird. Oh, we can't make ports of
yeah,
these games, but we'll put the DLC on the store.
yeah. And it's like we can make ports, but just not for your platform. We can do it for literally every other platform, and then sometimes even a mobile one. I mean, we were seeing stuff that was getting ported to like uh the Stadia before it bit the dust instead of our platform. Like, it's getting weird. The skips have to be intentional at this point, right?
I think it might just be an oversight, and no one on the team's looking at Xbox. They don't consider it a thing.
Which is possible, but if that's the case, I need someone at Xbox to go, hey, guys, you forgot me. Instead of just politely being like, Don't remember me next time."
You just look
I
up
don't need to say anything.
publishers on Xbox, I wonder. Ah, yes, Gust. Oh yes, there we go. There's all the Gust stuff.
It's like a picture of someone playing it
54
on a different
add-ons.
platform.
54 for Gust characters for Dead or Alive 5
Meanwhile,
and 6.
games 0.
Yeah, and that is ludicrous.
Ugh.
Absolutely ludicrous.
That's how they tease you. And by you, I mean us. And by us, I
Sorry,
mean now instead.
53. The rest, there was one for something else unrelated too. I just. Koei Tecmo is so weird to me. Like, we get
Yeah,
Fatal
because
Frame.
it's not malicious.
Conspiracy theory. Some deals get blocked by the Game Pass. Microsoft wants to get them on Game Pass or no deal. I don't know if it's Game Pass or no deal. I
Yeah, there's
think they
been a
won't pay for the
rumor that's
port
been
if it's not on
floating.
Game Pass though.
Yeah.
Like if they're fronting the bill for the port, then they want it on Game Pass. I think that's fair though. I think it's 100%
Yeah,
fair.
I can agree with that. Been scrolling through the chat twice now from the bottom up, and I'm not
Okay.
seeing this, so it must be
You know
insane.
what else is funny? If I if you look up Blue Reflection, which is a Gust game, I've been using the Switch, so now I'm all confused. Yeah, you get Blue Reflection Ray, which is the anime that happens in between Blue Reflection and Blue Reflection Tai. But neither of the games. I don't understand. Like, if the anime of the game is okay, then the game should be okay to be on there. And I don't know if that's an
That
ID
makes
at
too much sense.
Xbox thing or something else. Because the thing is, like, I know why
Yeah.
Wild Hearts hit because Wild Hearts was published by EA, and EA's. I don't think EA's ever skipped Xbox. I
Yeah, I
honestly
think
don't.
you're right.
Well, they've been partners since
I'm
the
pretty sure.
beginning, right?
Yeah. Back before they were doing really sketchy, messed up stuff.
Oh no, that was like right in the middle of the sketchy messed up stuff. They've always been doing sketchy messed up stuff.
I should
Like,
say the
see,
more sketchy messed up stuff.
EA's
You're
been
right,
like
they kind
less
of have.
sketchy and messed up lately, so
I'm hoping it sticks.
I am hoping so. They've learned that single player games are where it's at because the problem with all these live service games and going all live service is that you end up with an entire catalog that's competing with yourself.
Exactly.
I think Ubisoft's starting to realize this because every one of their games is an open world, um, open world game with towers now. It's all like the whether you whichever you like more, but like it's all Assassin's Creed games basically. That's all you get.
I'm so tired of the millions of Assassin's Creed.
Like, that's the thing. I don't hate Assassin's Creed. I've never really like disliked it, but After the second game, I was like, I'm good. And then it came back for Black Flag, which was fun. And then I had to be an assassin again, and I stopped being a pirate, and I was like, nah, I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah, I loved the first one. I liked the second one more. The Brotherhood and Revelations was great. I liked 3 because it was unique, and 4 started interesting when I was a pirate, and I got kind of bored when I went back to being an assassin too. And then after that, it kept feeling like more of the same. And I had already given it such a long attempt, but with like the 4 or 5 hour games. The only thing I'd done really was play the multiplayer with friends at the time. The story had gotten kind of stale and boring. The combat system was a bit rough. I don't know, I just feel like they weren't adding new content. It just felt like more of the same, extended.
Yeah. You know what's really funny to me? Um, if you go back and watch the original like opening cutscene, OG
Which one? The
Assassin's
first game?
Creed, yeah, OG Assassin's Creed, Altair uses a crossbow.
And then it's just not in the game at all.
Mhm. It's never in the game. Like a little
Oh,
handheld crossbow. I remember it being
love to
pointed
see
out to
it.
me like many, many moons ago, and I'm like, yeah, that's weird. I think they added it later though, but it looks like it was something
I
that was
re-
cut, but that promotional material didn't know it didn't have it, and then they just left it. Never
yeah,
talk of it again.
one of those miscommunications, and then they're like, hopefully no one was looking. Just never bring it up again.
Well, it makes you wonder how much stuff was cut.
Yeah, and I'm sure there was a lot.
There's always a lot of stuff that's cut, or it just doesn't
Yeah,
wasn't fun, or you couldn't make it happen in the time frame. So
yeah. Cutting
so you
room
just
floor is
you put it
where
on the
a lot of stuff stays.
back burner
Yeah.
for the next one. Okay, want to talk about the new Square Enix CEO?
Oh God. I mean,
It
what's
was
there to say
so.
besides apparently he loves NFTs too. Woo!
He's more NFT than the old president.
I know it's great. Oh, I'm so excited.
I don't know,
Oh, there's
man.
so much to look forward to.
Yeah, there was tweets yesterday about people like, oh, Square should bring back these IP. Yeah, they should, but you probably just get an NFT of the cover of the game instead because
Well, exactly. It's like the joke that Konami had for so long, where it's like, bring this back, and it'll just become a pachinko machine. Now
yep,
it was Square, bring this back. Well, I'll sell it to you as an NFT. Do you
but it won't
remember?
even be a game. I I know
Exactly.
Doctor Disrespect's all in on the NFT bro train. I don't. I know. I
Oh,
never cared for Doctor Disrespect. To be fair,
nice. Was
from the
me.
start, it's just the way I am, and if he's gonna come at
No, no
me,
worries.
that's fine because I'll use the free publicity.
Yeah, and then you can do a celebrity boxing match with him for more
Oh
free
God, no,
publicity.
no. He's probably like twice my size. The man looks really tall.
He actually does. He's
I
an
don't know if he's
absurdly
actually
large
really
man.
tall or not. It's just a camera trick.
It'd be a
I'm a
really funny framing. He's like 4'2".
it's the second coming of Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Literally stands on a box. He has short man syndrome.
Seems to always be running in his movies. You can't catch me, gay thoughts. Family
Um,
Guy. I haven't watched that in forever. But whenever I think of Tom Cruise, that's one of the first things that comes to my mind now.
Tom Cruise is weird. But yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just the whole Doctor Disrespect and NFT bros are so weird. You even mention NFTs on Twitter, and then you're getting retweeted or liked from bots, and they're like, "Yeah, NFTs, man," and you're like, "Okay,
Oh.
oh no, not this again. What is this
I
shit?"
don't. I don't get the hype for it either. I've
Uh,
never seen an NFT project take off that worked. I
I
always hear
mean,
about them ripping people off and you know the money and stocks going down.
I think NFTs. the concept of an NFT, which is, if you don't know what NFT stands for, it's a non-fungible token, because we have to come
Yeah,
up with
no
a
funds
really
allowed.
bazonkers name for it,
Exactly.
so people don't know what it is. We come up with it. Basically is just something that exists on a blockchain that is attached to a thing. It is not actually the thing. If you buy the
Exactly.
token, that is, as people have said, it's like buying a lease or something to stand in a spot in front of a thing. I think,
It's a good way to describe it, though, because if you buy an NFT, you do not own the thing.
the problem is you use to scam people. There, I think there is
Yeah.
legitimate use for NFTs, and that
Oh, I'm
use.
sure.
No, I actually have an idea for what the use would be. Like a token, you
Mhm.
couldn't funge, right? Couldn't, it's not
Yeah.
fungible. Couldn't. Uh, it sounds like something you'd want for a security measure in like a
Yeah.
building. You know, you secure access to files and things. That's what it.
Mhm.
That's what it seems like it's good for. It's the
Yeah.
same. Like
It
the thing
doesn't seem
with
like it's good for money.
like, cryptocurrency was a good idea, but it became a bad idea because people were just like not treating it with, well, not telling people how to actually
Yeah. It
use
was
it
used as a
correctly.
snake oil technique instead of using it for what its actual purpose was.
That's why the NFTs
I
have
think,
been kind of just,
yeah.
they
I
are
think that's one of the
basically just
reasons
as,
our stock goes down so quick. People don't know what it is, and they put all this money in, and then people realize what it is, and then the money drops because everyone starts leaving.
I think NFTs are just basically 100% a scam. And the fact that it's like Twitter's like, yo, you can hook an NFT up to this. And I'm like, okay, but why? I don't,
Well, that's how you know it's a scam. When people are offering you it randomly online, it's never a good sign.
one of my favorite jokes about NFTs though was it was that scene from Yu-Gi-Oh with Yugi's grandfather in the card, and it's like, "What did you do to him? I melted him and put him on on the
Yeah.
blockchain, Yugi boy." And you're just like, "Oh my god, that's so funny."
I think that's one of the best things about them is honestly all the memes that have come out of it, um, which I can appreciate and laugh at. I feel really bad for certain generations though, because like in September, I went to my aunt's in New York, and we're just visiting with family, and some of them are asking me about NFTs because they know, I'm in my late 20s. I probably know what's going on the internet, and they're like, "Oh, is this something we should invest in? Is this smart and this and that?" And I'm like, "No." And I'm like helping explain it to them, and they're like, "Oh, that sounds like people are just ripping people off and manipulate." I'm like, "Yes, unfortunately." Like the idea has some grounded theories to it, but no one's applying it in that way. It's kind of like, a good example would be AI art right now. AI art could be used as a really helpful tool for artists to render things faster, to have sketches drawn and compiled together so that they don't have to do quite as many. It could help with animators. But instead, it's being used to scalp the internet of its artists and then blend it together into mush. And then someone goes, "I did that. That was me." And they take credit. It seems like with most technology, there is a good idea somewhere in there. Uh, it's just people will do whatever they want with it, and
Well, people want
you have
monetary
to
gain.
hope. Yeah, but that's true. Greed is the driving force of everything, both for creating something helpful and creating something unhelpful, and then greed pushes it even further until it gets more and more monetized and anti-consumer.
I've been wondering why, like, I've been legitimately like sitting down and wondering why it's like we use AI for all sorts of things, right?
Yeah.
Why don't we use AI to like compress textures in games? Like you're telling me you couldn't make an AI do a thing where instead of it's like, oh yeah, it can take this and make it into that. You couldn't make it so it looks at a texture and goes, well, the game doesn't need this section of the texture, and just smartly cut it up so it takes up
I
less
mean,
space. I-
you could absolutely write an AI to do that. The amount of stuff we can make AIs do is terrifying. I mean, between what we can do with deepfakes, you can create AI voices. You can create AI to completely alter someone's face so that it looks like someone else. I could create, and when I say I mean a person, not me personally. I don't think I'm smart enough, but I could create a video of someone without their permission that looks like them, that sounds like them, that people think is them. You don't think that this thing could compress a few files? The amount of things we could be doing with AI for, good reasons and not just evil, maniacal villain things is, oh my God, sorry, I got distracted looking at Zuzu joking. It's absurd. We could be using them to benefit so many industries. And I get that some people are scared because they think we'll lose jobs. But when we keep evolving and creating these things, we're creating new jobs too. You need someone to monitor it, you need someone to create it, you need someone to work with it. I feel like that's the same with any tech. I'm not vying for, being replaced by robots, but as we evolve, I think our technology should evolve with us, and we should apply it as best we can.
yeah, it's built by people and they use it how use it. No, what I was saying, Suzu, was not about compressing the textures particularly, was
Yeah.
more like making them smarter.
Yeah, it's the idea of like instead of seeing pop in, if I turn one way, it doesn't need to render everything behind me.
Well, I
Like,
just feel like the thing is we had to do all sorts of tricks for years. They had to do
yes.
tricks for years in games to make textures work the way they did. And a lot of times they would like put texture data in between, like on two in the same file to save space. So what I'm saying
Yeah.
is, you're telling me you couldn't get an AI to go through and see what textures were needed in a scene that you set up, and then it just goes, yeah, just needs to, like it. When they're like, oh, we do AI this and AI upscaling and stuff, I'm like, okay, cool, but what about just making games just smaller? Like just
Yeah.
making them
And that's something
smaller
we
by
need.
just,
We need that right now more than ever.
yeah. Well, that was the thing
Games are
with
100 plus gigs. It's insane.
yeah, it's, I have less of an issue with like, oh, we have to do the AI this way, we have to do it that way. I'm more or less just thinking that because file systems, you need so much space just to do certain things with text. I don't know a lot about this, to be honest, but I'm just
No
feeling
worries.
like this is a problem. It's becoming a problem. It's like, well, we need to have bigger storage and consoles because the games are getting bigger. But the games are getting bigger because we need better and higher res textures. So why not nip the problem from the other end and try and make textures smaller without losing the relative, because it takes up the most space in a lot of things, and assets and
Yeah.
animations aren't the biggest contributor, but they're still there. I know with
Yeah.
I can speak from not like firsthand knowledge, but I know for a fact that there's a bunch of games that were cross-gen where you'll see like there'll be a difference in how big the install is, and it's smaller on the new console because on the old console they're assuming you have a mechanical hard drive. So to keep it from
Yeah.
having to seek as far, it has duplicate assets, which increases the file size, but will increase the performance
Yeah. It's a
because you need
double-edged
it.
sword kind of approach.
Yeah, that's fine. It's just we don't need those tricks anymore, and I feel like it'd be a lot of work for a person to go through and do that. But for an AI to do it, it's just like tell them what you want them to do, and let them try and smartly make the file size smaller.
Yeah, it's and you know, if the robot overlords are listening to me, I don't mean this in a disrespectful way. It's boring menial tasks. It's something that you don't need a human to do. It's almost like saying your job is to count from 1 to 1,000. Yeah, a human could do that, especially if a project needs it. But it's boring, and you don't need to if something else can do it for you. It's the same with this. You don't need someone to go through every file and check something. But if you have an AI that can do it, and it's something that would benefit everyone if you did this and slowed down so you didn't have to make it so big, I think that'd be great. There's so many tricks that we don't I don't say don't use. We don't need to use anymore because we have all of these advancements. A really obvious one that everyone talks about is the doors in Resident Evil. That was a great trick for hiding the longer load times and making you think things were seamless, both in gameplay and storage. And that's just one of the many tricks that people used to use for hiding things so it didn't look bad for the player. There were tons of pop-ins and outs that would happen at certain distances, but they would try to hide them, like in Silent Hill. One of the reasons the town gets so foggy is to hide a lot of the background so that they can make it not pop in. And then you can use that data elsewhere to fill in the rest of the town and the spots you can see. And it seems silly because you're like, oh, that's smart. They just make it foggy so they don't have to load as much. But we don't need to do stuff like that anymore. We can fit the entire game in one spot instead of praying to God there's enough room in there to keep sound and data from getting corrupted and, you know, totally falling apart. We don't need quite as many techniques to, I'll say, obscure the player's idea because it's almost like a magic trick. You know,
Well,
it's moving your hand one way and doing something with the other.
the thing is that they have been using AI to do things like upsampling and that, but I feel like it's like doing it at the when you're playing the game. I feel like you could use it more in production to automate
Yeah.
tasks or test tasks that are weird or do all sorts of things like this stupidity that's been going on with shader compilations that are on PC. And primarily the reason why I've shied away from PC gaming for most games is because a lot of games don't precompile the shaders. And console people don't understand what this is, but basically, if you ever see a game like stutter hard, it's because there's no on PC. It's usually because there's no pre-step on the shaders. You know, make everything look nice. And we didn't need it before because there wasn't as many shaders to do things with. But now there's like a billion more, and they have to be pre-compiled. But you don't need them on console because you can set it for one, because all the hardware is the same. So you just pre-compile them when you ship it. That's good. Maybe it has a step where it recompiles them or does something later if it's back-compat or whatnot. But usually that's like a one-time process. Like even something as simple as well, not simple. I shouldn't say simple, but Monster Hunter Rise, I know, has a shader pre-compilation step on PC, but games like the Callisto Protocol didn't. So things that are supposed to be really impactful or meaningful, or you're supposed to get a cool jump scare or something to spook the player. Oh, you get a big stutter before it because it had to compile this texture. And this isn't like
Exactly.
the highest end hardware. And like, if this is happening in the highest end hardware, someone who's in the middle is going to be like, what the hell's
Yeah.
happening? Is my computer, like, something wrong with my computer? I just bought this expensive graphics card.
And
And
especially with that kind of game, it ruins the pacing
mm-hmm.
because Every time there's a jump scare, if your game stutters, you go, oh, well, some shit's gonna come at me, and it destroys what it's trying to set out to do.
Yeah, and
I
unless you do
remember,
something like play the game through once, or pay someone to play the game through for you once, so it doesn't have any stutter. It's just
yeah,
weird.
who was it for at that point? My buddy, when we were playing Call of Duty in the past, he plays on PC, and I play on console. He had to reinstall the entire game every time he wanted to play it with me because the shaders would fail to load after the one time of playing. So every time he shut the game down, if he wanted to play it again, he would have to reinstall the game so it would reinstall the shaders correctly until he played again, in which case it would fail and then he'd have to uninstall and reinstall. It was awful. And every time it happened to him, all I would joke was, you still have your Xbox. He's like, I don't have it on there and I prefer my PC. I'm like, that's fine. We'll play in 2 hours when you're done downloading this 150 gigabyte game. It's uh
Yeah,
it's the
that's
quality of life thing.
I respect my time more than that. That's the thing. It's
Exactly.
that's like with weird with ports that aren't as good as they should be, and games that have weird issues, like I was saying with Ryza, it makes PC gaming less appealing because it's supposed to be
Yeah.
the you can come in with the biggest or less hardware, like more expensive, less expensive, and it's supposed to be able to play these games, and then you run into these weird issues where someone just didn't want it to work, and they just don't do a thing. All you have to do is recompile these shaders, or have an ability to compile them if they're bad. We've got to
Yeah.
recompile these. Like
And
anytime there was a patch with Back for Blood on PC, I do play
mm,
some games on PC. I just want to be clear. It's not my main platform because of the
same
way
here.
of these issues. So Back for Blood, whenever
Yeah.
there's a patch, you boot it up and it goes recompiling shaders. You change your graphics driver, recompiling shaders. Because that's how it has to work, because something's changed.
Yeah.
And it's just I don't care, but it's just dumb when the game
No,
just
I totally agree.
explodes.
It's one of the reasons I don't PC game is my main thing ever. I mean, I definitely do stuff on there, especially the three main things would be Clone Hero, Tony Hawk Online, and Kirby Air Ride Online, along with some Steam stuff and old MMOs. But I don't main on there anymore because it keeps losing the aspects that I liked about it. It used to be cheaper gaming compared to consoles. You barely see that anymore. Even with the Steam Summer Sale and GOG and all that, things are just not as cheap as they used to be. The next thing would be graphical upgrades and the expenses that come with that. I'm not saying you have to get a new piece for your console, your PC, as often as you get a console. It could even be 10 years in between if you want. But that's only if you're buying the greatest stuff and then willing to stick with it for a while. And those are expensive. Those new graphics cards, and then you have to upgrade your storage, your RAM. It's just there's a lot of maintenance and upkeep with that. And lastly, there's not a lot of optimization on ports, which I can get is frustrating. And there is sometimes really cool fans that make support patches and mods, but it's frustrating to look forward to a game and buy it and realize, man, I have to wait until someone smarter and better than me is willing to fix this and let me download the fix because the people who originally made the game didn't care enough or didn't have time. It's just
Didn't have time
like
is
you said,
usually the issue.
yeah. And it's like you said, you value your time more. That's kind of how I feel. That and my money more. Hey, I'm not willing to spend the same amount on PC as I would on console if the PC one is just not going to have the time to be optimized. I have a
Yeah,
beautiful TV and a Series X. If it's going to play the game the way it's intended, I don't have a reason to buy it on PC if it's gonna stutter or, you know, yell at me because of my graphic card. Not that I have a bad one at all, but I mean, look at some of the recent games. Forspoken recently that was out here telling people like, if you don't have the highest end shit, it's not even gonna run. And you know, it's it's not the kind of thing that comes up all the time, and I don't want to harp on it because I do enjoy things on PC. I just the whole PC master race and elitist thing, it doesn't make as much sense to me these days. You know, there's definitely benefits. There's mods, there's the customization, the personal OS that you prefer. But I don't know. I think it's just as viable to play on any other platform that you enjoy. And I think that's the thing people forget. It is totally valid to play on any platform you prefer, any of the games you like. At the end of the day, video games are about having fun, or at least they're supposed to be. Playing with friends, having fun, that's all that matters. But people get so hung up on, "Oh, well, I play on this one, so it's the best, or my setup looks cool, and, everyone's a loser if they don't have this kind of setup. We have that partially competitive nature, but such weird volatile jealousy, especially on Twitter, for people who aren't in your, I'll say, community, quote unquote, because even then people disagree with each other. But there's so much toxicity, and it's really a shame that people don't kind of come together and enjoy this for what it is. Because again, in video games, it's super low stakes entertainment. But you saw it in the '90s with Nintendo and Sega. You've seen it for the last 20 years with Xbox and PlayStation, and to a lesser degree, Nintendo and PC jumping in. Uh, yeah, it's just always a war. And the fact that journalists are baiting shit now and the developers are in on it, you see these death threats getting sent to these people, and it's awful. I miss when video games were fun. You'd go to a forum or talk to people, and it was about how you enjoyed the game or what you're hoping comes next. And now you got people talking about stocks and how things are affordable and how can they even run this game in a cost-effective way. I don't give a shit about this company. They're giving me a video game. I'm gonna play the video game. Unless they're paying me money, I'm not worrying about their stock portfolio. That is way above my pay grade. Could not
Yeah,
care.
that was that weird thing with Psychonauts 2 and the Fig thing before they got bought out. I was trying to find
Mhm.
someone who knew more about it, who actually put a lot more money into it.
Mhm.
But from my understanding, if it was considered stock in the company, they got paid out with Microsoft buyout. But
See,
again,
that's a good time. Yeah.
I don't know for sure
Oh,
because again, I couldn't find someone to who wanted to talk about it.
yeah. And that's totally fair. I feel like if you're getting a benefit about it, then by all means, jump in. But for most of us, it's just about playing some games and having fun.
Yeah, I don't care
It
about
shouldn't
stocks. I don't even
always,
care about the politics
yeah,
involved with some of the games. Sometimes I might dodge a game
yeah.
because I don't care for the way the developers are or the way
Oh yeah,
the way everything is. But I'm not gonna be like, don't play Atomic Heart because it's Russian. I'd be like, don't play Atomic Heart because it's not that fun. I didn't find it that fun.
exactly. It's the same with the Harry Potter stuff too. When people are like, "Oh, you hate, trans people if you like this," blah blah blah. You
They
don't
actually played the
have
game because I literally because
they put a
Rin's been
trans
playing the
person. Well,
game.
they put a
She's been
few.
playing the game, and it's like there's trans people in the game.
Yeah, there's more than
It's
just that
like
one that journalists talked about, of course. Um, but yeah, that's the thing. All these people get it stuck in their head that, I mean, there were some, and forgive me for not being super up to date with this. I don't watch a lot of VTubers, but I saw all over different news articles and Reddit, some VTuber just, what do they call it, graduated? I think that means when they retire, because she got bullied because she said she wanted to play Harry Potter, like thousands of people. And This is someone whose job is to entertain people and play video games.
Yeah, I
They're
don't.
attacking this person over wizards. Like, nobody likes J.K. Rowling. Oh no, that's not true. There's probably some weird neo-Nazi dudes that like her, but most people don't.
The thing
You
is
can
that
enjoy wizards.
I understand why some people have. I don't want to get super into it, but I understand why some people might be really betrayed by her opinions in that, because she
Oh,
was
of course.
basically the modern day rag to riches story, right?
Yeah,
And everyone like that was the thing, like single mother, and fame changes people, and whether or not
absolutely.
she's a good person now doesn't change the fact that she made something cool that you like. You can still like the thing and think the artist was terrible. Have you
Exactly.
heard about flipping HP Lovecraft?
Oh, that's a perfect example where you love his stuff and then you his
Oh
cat's name and his opinions, and
yeah,
then
like
suddenly like, oh, he was a terrible person.
exactly. But he's dead now. Like if J.K. Rowling was dead and didn't say anything else ever again, then it'd be a completely
Yeah,
different discussion. They wouldn't be like it's transphobic because no one cares because they're dead. But because she's still
yeah,
alive and she's still relevant, then they care. But if they've been dead for hundreds of years, it's okay, right?
yeah, and that's where you start to lose me because it's like, well, do you hate this, person because of their beliefs, or are you hating them because it's popular to do so? Like, if you're out there picketing in front of their house or boycotting all sorts of stuff, good for you. Be an activist. I'm not going to stop you. But if the only time you stand up is when it's easy like this to yell at people online over something, like, I
Oh
don't
yeah,
think
it's
you care about the message. I
yeah.
think you just like
They're doing
yelling
this
at
because it's
people.
easy. Because it's easy to
Exactly.
just like send a message to someone and tell them, "Oh, you're terrible because you played the game."
Yeah, and then they
Okay,
get that self satisfaction thinking, I'm a good person. I talked down to this person who had bad ideals. But you
did
don't know what
you?
their ideals are. They just want to play Harry Potter. They want to be a wizard man.
They want to be a wizard. I don't get why it's so controversial.
Yeah. And I think that's the innocence we kind of lose. Like, if you asked a kid, do you want to play Harry Potter? They're not thinking about trans anything. And if, they say yes and they want to play, and you come in with, no, you can't, because Harry Potter's bad, because blah, blah. That's not what the kid's thinking about. He's thinking, I get to get a stick, and I wave it, and then magic happens. And that's what these adults want, too. So many of them are just playing with their inner kid again. Harry Potter has not been relevant for a while. They haven't been making movies. I mean, it's still merchandise, but they're
Well,
not
there
creating
was
anything new.
the Fantastic Beasts. She's made some.
Yeah,
That's the
I
thing.
mean,
She's made other stuff that's kind of more trying to be with the times, and it just loses. She hasn't had the same magic again. Let's say that. How's that?
yeah,
The series
it
hasn't had the
doesn't
same
fit.
magic in a very long time. So people
Yeah,
are really excited because this is a good, it's a good outing for the IP. People are enjoying the game.
yeah.
Uh,
And I think it's okay to enjoy a universe that was created by someone you might not agree with. You don't have to support someone to like something they've made, whether it's someone's cooking, whether it's a book, a video game, anything. You're just listening to someone express themselves. You don't have to enjoy it or hate it. It just is something. You're just reacting to it. And that's fine. Your reaction is valid.
I
But
mean, you can
it
hate her
doesn't mean
tweets and like
anything.
Harry Potter. It's okay.
Exactly.
I
Like,
hate when
it doesn't
people
change
do
who you
stuff
are.
like that. The
Yeah.
fact that she actually tweeted about wiping her face with the millions of dollars, $100 bills or whatever,
I
it's
hadn't heard
like
that.
that's like
That's funny.
super villain levels of
Exactly.
what I expect a super villain would tweet. That's what Kale
Oh,
would tweet
absolutely.
in High Five, basically. I'll wipe my tears, you know.
Uh,
So
I'm having a glass of water right now. It's with delicious, salty tears of all the people I pissed off. Look how
yeah,
many
basically,
glasses I can fill.
it's just like yeah, I know exactly. I'm just like, yep, this is how this works.
And that's probably one of the reasons I actually don't care about the J.K. Rowling stuff. she comes off so super villainy with the stuff I've heard and seen that I can't take it seriously.
I
It
don't
feels
know if
like
she's
living
just
in a
acting the
cartoon villain.
part. Yeah, I don't know if she's actually just acting the part for laughs or if she is genuine. Because I don't.
Yeah,
This is the thing. We don't know this woman. We don't know anything about her,
well,
Billy.
exactly.
And we never do anything
And
about her.
I've never paid much attention to her. I think she's a blonde woman that wears glasses. I could not even tell you if I'm correct or not. I believe I saw her once or twice in a magazine talking about Harry Potter like 15, 20 years ago. I, I don't even know much about her. I know she made Harry Potter.
He wrote it.
That's it.
Yeah, I don't want to get into it.
She was poor and didn't have a great job, and then she made this and became a gazillionaire, which is a new word I created just for her. She's welcome.
Yeah, it's,
Um, yeah, I know nothing about this person. I know they said some stupid shit on Twitter.
but that's
Unfortunately,
like
so does
there's a lot of
everyone.
people. There's a lot of people who say stupid stuff on Twitter, so you can just kind of
And there's people that aren't
leave
even
it.
famous that say stupid shit. The reason it's, and I'm not defending her, of course, but the reason I'm not going to take a stance is because I don't gain anything either way. So I'm not going to ridicule this person or demonize other people, God forbid, because they're enjoying something that that person made. I don't know enough about it. And even if I
I don't even know
educated
enough about this
myself,
person who got harassed. Maybe they did something else to get
exactly.
harassed. I don't know.
Yeah,
The thing is, you're a public figure. You're gonna be talked about. You're gonna have.
absolutely. Any kind of drama, anything is a spark on both sides because she gets talked about and then everyone gets to cover it and then people get clicks and, whether it's in the paper, views, you know, everybody
Well, it's
wins
sold well
except,
enough, so that's the
yeah.
thing. And the thing is that there's these people caught in the crossfire.
Exactly. Everybody wins except for the people who are the target right now, regardless of what anyone actually thinks. And the target keeps shifting. Currently, it's people who are trying to enjoy this game. Because regardless of if you're trans or not, you're not even in the crossfire right now. Like, this is about you, but it's not involving you, which is,
It's
that's how
weird.
I think it's not a stance that anyone needs to take. It's people getting mad and trying to defend people who don't need being defended. They can take after themselves, and they're not trying to cause a fight. It's like
Yeah,
when you stand up for someone who doesn't need it, and then you speak for them and get everyone in trouble. There's no need. We can be bigger and better people.
yeah, and that's kind of where we should just leave that, and not go too much further into it. Because
Oh yeah,
it's
it's delicate, and I get that. I'm not going to judge anyone's opinion. You're right. It's the kind of thing that you can't come to terms with, and there's no facts. It's all opinions and how people feel.
yeah. Here, looking at.
I look up for a second at Monster Hunter. Alexius, I'm a vegetable.
Oh, someone said I'm a vegetable. I don't know.
Yeah.
I went to rescue someone, and then they started talking about being a vegetable. I can't. I can't. I don't own them.
Was Brian playing with you?
No, that's not. That's not the Brian. That's not Brian.
Okay. I was gonna say I thought he
That's
named his
Bryn.
after like it.
No,
Oh, Bryn?
he's that's Bryn is the name on there. I don't know who this is. I just joined a random game.
Gotcha. I mean, like, didn't he
Jimmy's my
name his
puppers.
character after? Oh, he's cute. I don't know why I've played this game constantly. For some reason, I just assumed your name was Jimmy, which didn't make much sense to me. But I wasn't about to
No, this is
question it in the
Nagisa.
conversation.
She has a
Yeah, I see
ponytail
that up there now. Very cute.
because I like anime.
I mean,
There was a
same.
joke. There was a joke in. I've actually kind of Kubo-san won't let me be invisible. I believe
Yeah,
is the English translation of the name. It's sad that that anime stopped after 6 and it's going to restart in April. But
yeah. I think
it's
there's some
named
production
after she's
stuff.
named after her because and has purple hair like her because there was a joke about getting 40 more attack points for having a ponytail. So she has a
That's where that came
ponytail.
from? I remember that joke. I didn't
Yeah,
remember where it was because you
yeah.
know how that
It's
is online. You see
you
screen
see the
caps
thing.
of like the manga,
Yeah,
and you're like, "Oh, I would never have any idea." Read this one day and go, "Oh,
that's where this was from. Oh,
exactly." And
yeah.
it's
Basically,
never relevant. It's always like 7 years later at complete random.
yeah. So you aren't watching any of the currently airing anime, I'm guessing?
Fortunately, I'm not. Something had happened with a friend
That's fine.
access to Crunchyroll and stuff that I did. So, at the moment, I'm not. I'm reading a lot of manga, but I'm not as up
Anything
to date on animes.
anything interesting you're reading that might be relevant to be playing at the time?
Hmm.
You can go into it, it's fine.
Uh, well, let me double check with what I'm reading, just because a lot of it's recent, but I don't know how relevant it would be to our conversation. Are you talking about like the big shonen stuff, or just in
Oh,
general?
I don't watch show stuff. I don't I'm watching like Oni Mai right now, which if you haven't seen anything about that show, besides some of the stuff I posted, is actually
The
very
one with
wholesome despite being that's the
the
one
brother
where
that got turned into a girl.
yeah, his younger sister turns him into a girl because she wants him to straight just to fix his life because he's
Now,
shut in
uh, how would turning him into a girl do that?
because now he's well he's younger, so now he's the little sister.
Oh, okay.
So it's actually very wholesome, and if you
Oh
leave
yeah,
all the
there's a lot of
things
them
about
are.
consent and weird plot points out of it, and you just kind of just enjoy it for what it is very
Mm,
funny. And it goes into a lot of things like episode 2 they go into like he has his period, so he's full on a girl, and it is it's a pretty funny episode because he's like
Seeing
I'm
from a guy's
dying.
perspective.
Oh, I've been watching it with uh, with a girlfriend, and she's been like, okay, that's really funny, or the way he like interacts with things because he's an introvert, right? He's super introverted, like one of those super never leaves his room, literally lives at home kind of guys, like the neat.
Yes,
And
not seeking employment.
yeah, no employment, but
No
he's
education, no
like
training.
he like makes friends, and I'm like, is he actually gonna want to go back to being himself after this? Like,
They never do.
well,
He got isekai'd, except instead of to a different world, it was to a different body.
it's insane body apparently. There's also weird
Or
localization
confusing.
on the Crunchyroll thing.
Hmm.
Like, I put up that clip with Space Titanic. And it says
Yeah.
Titanic in space. Like, that's an easy one. You can just see because he says it in English. Why would you change that? But there's other stuff that's weird. Like, I think they're trying to do a lot of. I've heard a lot of like trans people don't like the show, and I'm like, what? I don't get it.
I mean, I can understand the frustration of,
There's people that
people
are
going through the process and they're like, oh, well, this guy just had magic. Fair.
well
Or it doesn't.
science, but
Oh, well, I apologize. I have not seen it yet.
it's still magic. It's still basically
Yeah.
magic because reality doesn't work that way. No, I get it, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I was reading through comments on it, and I'm like, we don't like this because this this person. Someone's like, well, she didn't ask consent when she turned her brother into a girl, and I'm like, okay, but we don't see the actual transformation. What went on we barely see the relationship before.
Yeah.
Like we see it a couple times in flashbacks, but it's usually like much earlier. And
Not
it's
just that,
clear
but
that he has not been like the best, most supportive older brother.
yeah. Plus, for many plot points in stories, especially anime, but in general, people might not act like good people. That's
No.
okay. It's not real. It's a scenario that is written to entertain you. And if it doesn't, then you change to something
Yeah, just
else
watch
that
something
does
else.
entertain
It's
you.
fine.
Yeah.
No, no
There's no
one's.
need to create a crusade to stop everyone from enjoying something.
Yeah, the consent thing was weird, and I'm like, if you just ignore that, it's fine. One of the more interesting shows of the season, though, I do have to say that one of the best ones though is Tomo-chan as a girl. Oh my god,
I,
that's
I still need to catch up reading that, but I personally I
well,
like the dub of it. The dub is really doing a good job.
the English
But the show in
the Japanese
general.
version's well, Carol has the same voice actress in English
Yeah, I've
and
heard because she's
Japanese.
bilingual. So
Yeah,
she just does the Japanese and the English.
yeah, which is
That's awesome though.
there's not a lot of she's American born Japanese, which is weird, but she's funny.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um
that's just
well,
that's a great show.
there's one I'm reading that I'm hoping becomes an anime, and it's I'm up to date on it now. The last chapter was like what, the sixth? I think it was yesterday. Um the title is kind of embarrassing because it doesn't have as much to do with the plot after like the first three chapters, but it's called The Story Between a Dumb Prefect and a High School Girl with an Inappropriate Skirt Length. And that sounds like a mouthful and it's dumb, but let me put it in quick, easy terms. Um, there's a busybody who is on the student council who starts focusing on a she's not a gyru, but she wears the skirt a little bit shorter. She has blonde hair. Uh, she's more like a rocker chick kind of thing. But she just is less than the typical Japanese student. She would just fit in normally in any American school, Canadian, probably Europe. Um, and he kind of focuses on her because he wants to try to fix that part of her personality for the better. But he's also really shitty at social skills, clearly, and not super smart. So he gets to talking to this girl, and she's actually kind of bringing him out of his shell. He's still very focused on like doing the right thing. He's got a very good moral compass. Um, he's good with discipline and stuff, but he's becoming more of a humanized character with her, and they start to get a relationship out of it and bringing out the best in each other. And it's a really interesting story. There's a lot of fun side characters too. And the author's very self aware because they did one side chapter where it's basically the only two characters left that aren't in a couple. And it looks like it'll be romantic the whole time. And they're talking about mangas they like and finding out different things they actually like about each other before they both agree at the end that they hate when the author just ships the last characters that are available with each other instead of just letting them be. So supposedly for now, it looks like there won't be any romance, but it's a very funny story. It's great comedy. It's romance. Uh, it's got some school life and slice of life aspects. It's definitely entertaining, and it does a very good job of juggling the two things. It doesn't ever feel like needlessly dramatic or trying to be funny. It's very good. I definitely recommend it, and hopefully he gets an animation. Definitely think it deserves one.
Yeah, because the big ones this season are another fantastic title, The Magical Revolution of the Reincarnated Princess and the Genius Young Lady. Uh,
Yes, I believe that's the
refer to
Yuri one.
internally as referred to internally as the princesses and the best made character ever.
Yeah. All I've
It's
seen of that so far was like how to treat your vampire. Something. It was like bite your lip and then make out with the vampire.
oh
You've done it.
um yeah, taking that scene out of context is weird, and I don't know why people would do that, but I guess they would.
Oh yeah, the internet's full of weird people. I mean, it was two women texting. That was all the context that they needed.
That's all they needed.
Yep.
Yeah,
The
I don't
slightest
want to
theory.
explain why she's like got a giant gaping hole in her chest.
Ah,
I'm
she's
not
probably
gonna give
born
you
that way.
context because
Yeah, no, she's Iron Man. She's gonna put a little glowy thing in there and then get a nice suit.
yeah,
She'll
no,
be fine.
yeah, no.
Yeah, that's one of
Uh,
the ones I definitely am
it
looking
is
into.
it is pretty good. I'll be honest with you. If you're watching it in a binge, it won't be as bad. But there have been some weeks where it's been a little less than stellar.
Uh-huh.
There's a couple episodes that are
Yeah,
just setting up things, and
yeah, that's the downside of usually the 12 episode scenario.
I don't think
They
it
don't
was
have time to
bad.
flesh stuff out.
It it's not bad. It's just um it's just they had to take time to set certain things up,
Yeah.
and then there's like it's the I don't know. It's weird. Maybe it's because I'm just getting older, and it's just like the action sequences. I'm like, eh. The drama sequences. I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah,
So I
I
kind of just
definitely
watch
felt
shows
that
that are
way.
more drama than action.
Oh, I feel that way though. I mean, I loved Chibi Vampire.
Oh, are
I've
you
always
talking about
enjoyed.
Monogatari?
No. I believe the translated name is from Karen, Karin. Here it's Chibi Vampire. It's a rom com about a girl from a family of vampires, but she's like a reverse vampire. She can go out during the day, and instead of feeding on blood, she has to bite someone and give them blood, or it just kind of shoots out of her nose and face. But when she does give someone blood, it gives them like a bunch of energy and optimism. So it's like a great thing, but she's trying to hide doing it because she's supposed to bite someone. It's a cute story,
Okay.
and the manga goes on much longer than the anime did. I think the anime was,
There's a light novel first, apparently. I just looked it up
yeah,
quick.
that one's definitely older. I think it was like
2003.
2000. Oh, I was gonna say five. Damn, it's even older than I thought.
Well, it started
But
in
yeah,
2003 as a light novel. The manga did start in 2003 in April. The light novel was in December, and the manga started in April, same year.
wow.
But that's in Japan, so you could be right. It could have not got localized till later because it was always weird.
Yeah, especially back
Um,
then. These days they tend to be a little better.
Apparently it was just called Kaiden.
Yeah. For some reason here the manga was called Chibi Vampire, and I think the anime was too.
Love that it looked
But
that up and
I'm-
Midori no Hibi or Midori Days showed up, which is a show that you expect to be way more lewd than it is.
that's
Do you know
how it
about
gets
that
you,
one?
man. I've heard of it. I haven't watched it myself.
It's he's like rough and tumble blonde delinquent
Hmm.
student, and then he wakes up one morning and his right hand is suddenly a girl that likes him. It
It
is
sounds
much
so
more wholesome than
familiar.
it sounds. It is
Um, it
legitimately
sounds like
wholesome.
slice of life Parasite almost.
Kind of, but she can like not control the whole body, but she control the arm and does things for him and stuff. But she's just
Is
like
it like a
naked.
brand new girl, or is it like a girl that went to the school?
It's a girl who has a crush on him, but she goes to a different school.
And what happened to her body?
Uh, if you go watch it, her body still exists. She's just
Oh, okay.
having an out of body experience and become this man's hand. I don't know how that actually works. Again, it's one of those
Exactly. It's
just let
suspended
it happen.
disbelief to enjoy it kind of thing.
It's really funny, but it also has like moments where you're just like, oh, this is really deep.
Yeah, Japan is very good at making would either be cringy, depressing, or just unfunny and dumb, somehow being wholesome and kind of sweet, which
There
is
is
super
bad,
appealing.
there is bad anime and manga.
Oh, of
There
course.
definitely is,
Yeah.
but
Oh,
I
yeah,
feel
like
like,
anything.
yeah, I feel like, and only sometimes does it come here.
Yeah. I think a good
I'm
example
not
would
gonna name
be
names. I'm not naming names
Yeah,
my names are gonna upset people. So,
I think
uh,
a good example is how we make live actions of stuff. It's kind of like when we do it, it just doesn't feel as authentic or
just watch the
good.
opening scene of Fist of the North Star, the North American version, and you know exactly what you're talking about. It's just not as
Yeah,
good. It's terrible. Um,
yeah, and I don't mean any disrespect to the voice actors. I'm sure they're or voice actresses either. I'm
they
sure
were
they're
just
doing their
actors.
best. It just
It doesn't work.
it comes off differently. Yeah, it doesn't work.
I don't think they have the same energy. Like the Japanese are about
Yeah.
doing things in earnest. So like
Mm,
even if it's a stupid plot about something completely dumb, they're still very they feel very sincere about it.
yeah.
So they'll do things with like they'll do things out with like all of them into it. So it's fun. That's
Yeah.
what you can
And
have
I
a
think
stupid
it's
show
also a
about.
misconception. Yeah. Um, I think some people assume the sub might always be better than the dub if they don't know Japanese because they hear that kind of energy, but they don't know what they're saying. So they don't know if it's exactly the right energy for the role or what's going on. But there's a lot of people that just assume the sub is better for that reason. And
Uh,
personally, I think do whatever you want, whether it's sub or dub, just enjoy it.
I
But
don't, I'm not gonna dub shame people because people play games in English all the time, and I'm like, okay, it's fine, but
yeah,
I prefer to play it in Japanese.
but
And that's why
because
when
you
people get
can,
mad about there being no English dub, I'm like, oh no,
well,
I didn't
exactly.
even
But
notice.
imagine if you couldn't speak or read it or anything, do you think you'd enjoy it as much? Or do you think you
I
would
used to
want
use the
to?
dub whenever possible, but the thing was, it was never an option, right?
Yeah.
Back in the like, we have a copy of Persona 4 OG Persona 4 on PS2, and
Hmm.
it doesn't have Japanese. There's no Japanese audio on that at all. It just
Yeah.
wasn't an option.
And you're right. Back in the day, just they
But the
didn't
thing
think about
is,
it or care.
well, they didn't license it over here, and the other thing was,
Well, that too.
we even when we did get it was either we just got Japanese audio or we get an English dub. You wouldn't get the
Yeah.
choice. And
Yeah. No one really worked together on that.
what's the thing? Persona 5, the original when Persona 5 came out originally on the PlayStation 4, uh, it didn't have an English dub, and it got delayed a year because of it.
Yeah. How far we've come.
Yeah. Well, that was just like English dubs are just Japanese dubs are just expected to be there now with like all
Yeah.
sorts of games.
Yeah, like sometimes there'll be a French or an Italian or Dutch, but almost always it's like, what do you want your reading to be? And, it has all the choices. And then what do you want your voice to be? And it's usually English, Japanese. Like those are, I'd say, the two universal choices at this point.
With Japanese
Sometimes there's
games,
others.
yeah. Or well,
Yeah,
Monster Hunter
yeah.
had Monster Hunter language, which was basically just gibberish, which I
I
do
was gonna
not
say it's like
like.
sim, the sim language. You dub, jibba dib dub.
Yeah, basically. But yeah,
Ridiculous.
if they let you
Fine.
have it, you want it. Some people like that. I don't. I never
Yeah,
liked it. I never liked that with um
like the
Japan
older
Studio
ones.
games did that. That was one of the
Oh,
things
they
I did
did?
not like about. Yeah, like uh well, I guess people wouldn't know because they don't know Japanese, but Gravity Rush is not in Japanese. She doesn't speak a single
Oh,
word that actually makes any sense. The sentence structure is
that's
just
how she's speaking.
it's just gibberish basically. I don't know. I can't tell you.
Oh man.
It's not
Well, now
Japanese though.
I'm gonna have to play without subtitles and learn to speak that language.
Speak the gibberish. It probably doesn't
Just
work
to
out.
gaslight people.
Just a
Oh, he knows
guess.
Japanese, and I'm just speaking whatever the hell language that
Speaking it. It's the human condition. He's speaking it.
is.
I don't know. It's just I, that's one of the things I never liked was when it's not in any language. Because I know there's people who
Yeah,
don't like reading subtitles, and that's fine. But if
right.
it's between not reading subtitles and getting a version of the game that is not like you can't. it's illegible or you can't understand it unless like it worked okay with Tunic though because Tunic didn't
Yeah,
expect you to actually read it.
it reminds me of like in the Legend of Zelda, they always have Hylian for like the tech stuff. There's not a lot of tech stuff to see, but it is nice in-game, I'll say, flavor, because they obviously don't need on many signposts and stuff or buildings to have
Well, they
Hylian,
usually, if you
but
do
it
need to be
is
able to read it,
interesting.
there's a prompt and it lets you read it.
Yeah, but what I mean is, I appreciate that it still uses the in-world idea that these people don't speak English, none of the or Japanese. Like everything you're reading is just you understand the language, so you're hearing or seeing what links, the translation.
Yeah.
But no one's actually speaking like your language. They're all speaking whatever the hell Hylian sounds like. And I guess it's interesting to me because then you see like Gorons interact with people, Zoras, and you have to wonder, do they speak Hylian? Like, what
Do they
happens when
have a
you're not in
common?
Hyrule? Yeah, what is the common? What the hell do people speak in Termina and every other version that doesn't have a Hyrule?
Is
Just
it the same? Is
interesting
it
stuff like
different?
that.
Yeah, no, for sure,
Yeah,
for sure.
just
It.
in-world stuff like that is always interesting to me.
Well, you always got to think about
Ooh.
something. And sometimes you just think about stuff and be like, "Yep, that was a
Yeah,
decision."
I think that's how you know you have an interesting in-game world. If even seeing something like that can just spark a conversation or an idea that can go somewhere, um, I think you have a good world you can build that way.
Well, the thing is, like, I think that people have tried to translate the alien in that, or they
Oh, I
have
think
done it.
someone made one. Yeah, like I have no idea who the person was, obviously, but I think someone translated it to the point where when they see Hylian in the games now, they're trying to find like secret messages devs might have left or stuff like that. People are crazy. Like a dev will hide like an IP address that leads to a certain destination in the world, or like
Oh,
decode it and
are you talking
do
about
crazy stuff.
what's that called again? AR games.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
that's one
this.
of them too.
I think that's what they're called. Like games where you specifically are making the game do to let people work together. Actually, the original Siren was like that. It was designed in such a way that you had to play it with a message board.
Which game
Siren, the
was
PS2
it?
game. Yeah,
I actually love
the
Siren, including Siren Blood Call.
book call was okay, but Siren was
It
it
wasn't
was
great,
designed,
but I like the idea.
but it was designed in such a way that it'd be the Japanese message boards would comment on it, which would be really interesting. That's why stuff
Yeah,
kind of seems disjointed because it was
that
like
makes more
it was a
sense now.
community game.
That's actually really cool. I would love if a game did something like that.
I'm
Um,
surprised that
I would
more
also
games
love.
don't do that. Well, they're trying to do that with the new Silent Hill one though. Which one is it? Signals? I don't remember.
What?
They announced a bunch of Silent Hill games, and there was one that was going to do something like
Oh,
Siren. I can't remember what it's
that's
called.
right. I know what you're talking about. I
I
thought you were talking about the new remake of 2 for a second, and I
No,
was like,
when they
what?
announced two, they announced a whole bunch of other ones. I don't think the
Yeah,
remake
they
of two
did
is.
that. Yeah, there was a 2 or 3 other Silent Hill quote unquote based projects.
Yeah, and one of them was something along the lines of community-driven
Yeah,
horror
they
game
just
or
didn't go into
something.
a lot of detail. But
Yeah,
you're right. They said something about. I mean, that was basically a community driven horror. I don't think they
yeah, which makes
specified
me
any further.
think it's something like Siren.
I hope so. That'd be a cool idea. I'm surprised no one's ever done that type of vision either, though, where it was like half the screen was the enemy's vision and half was yours. Even if they didn't do a half and half, just the idea of
They
having
did
like
the
a,
medium was
a
kind of
picture
like
in
that.
picture. Yeah, but that's the only one I can think of, and that was like a decade and a half later, and no one's
More than
done
that,
anything with
probably like
that.
20 years later because it's a PS2 game.
Oh, that's right. I keep thinking of Blood Call because that was my first experience with the series before going back and playing the original.
Yeah.
So I end up associating that with that. But you're right. On the PS2, God, oh God, and it's 2023. It's probably close to 20 years.
2004.
If
It's
not,
just under. It's 19.
yeah,
Well, it's probably 20 from the
19.
Japanese release.
That's true. 19 and a half to 20 years. That's crazy. It's just like what we were talking about earlier, though, where you see a cool mechanic or an idea, and for some reason, just no one picks it up or uses it. It's weird.
I'm gonna
What
die on
sticks and what
this.
doesn't.
I'm dying on this Metroid Prime like train. Like I do not understand. There could be so many cool games out there.
Dude, I think you should die on it because we're stuck with shit like crap.
Craft.
So
Yeah, it's like
clearly,
crafting.
people
Crafting
have
for.
no problem taking an idea and just putting it in everything for no reason. So there's no excuse we shouldn't have so many games that are copying these cool ideas. I'm not saying I wanted oversaturation of everything, but at the same time, if you did everything, there'd be less oversaturation. You wouldn't have the money, time, and energy for everyone to make every type of game.
No, but that's the thing. Like, how many Metroidvanias are there compared to how many? Like, but 2D Metroidvanias are dime a dozen. There's you
Yeah,
can basically type in a word and find a game like it.
yeah.
But
Not that they'll all be good, but you'll find 1,000.
Oh, no, no, here, look.
Yeah.
The camera.
Especially
Don't
when
worry.
it comes to roguelikes.
Rips it out of his hand.
sorry, there are people talking really loud in the room, so I don't know if I was picking up or not. Just muted. Yeah, it is weird.
Oh, no problem.
I really think that a franchise like Halo or even other franchises could just have a game that's a spin-off like that. Like
Yeah.
that was kind of the cool thing about the 360 and the early Xbox One era was that there were more experimental and weird kind of spin-off games for Halo in the absence of a new game.
Yeah.
But even
It's frustrating that like the people are just too scared to do stuff with their IPs now. I mean, Miyamoto hates RPGs, which is why you don't see Mario doing Paper Mario JRPG stuff anymore. Unfortunately, they shut down the Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga team, their entire studio, so you don't see
there's
those
Alpha
as much
Dreams. Yeah,
anymore.
they just closed.
Yeah, it's so sad. And with stuff like Halo, it's another good example of there's so much you could be doing in this universe. Yes, we did Halo Wars. That was cool. Let's do more weird shit. Where's the horror game with the flood attacking? Where is any of these cool spin-offs that we could be doing that people are just like, let's make more shooters. And don't get me wrong, I love Halo. It's a great shooter. But you're trying to find these new creative things, right? Like, you guys keep talking about it. Let's do more with the IP.
I'm telling you, I want the. They should do. I've been saying this for a while. Probably in chats and stuff, and people didn't hear it. But they should do something what like comics did with. What was it? It's Just Imagine series, and Stan Lee would like write a DC comic or something, and it would be could be completely. You could take any character and do something completely crazy with them. It was just standalone thing. I mean, just imagine if I don't know Tango made a Halo game. What would that look like?
Yeah.
If the Coalition made it, like you have all these studios, and I know they have other projects, but maybe it's worth like doing like a game jam thing. Like you give them the Halo assets or whatever, and you're just like, okay, see what they come up with.
And they shouldn't be afraid to do that because they're practically doing the same thing with Forge. The amount of shit you can do in Forge at this point is crazy. There's no reason that they shouldn't be trying this. And you can even see it with Zelda. If Nintendo trusted their beloved IP to another group so they could make Hyrule Warriors, I think you can trust Halo to
Crypt
go to
of the
one of your
Necrodancer.
Crypt of the Necrodancer is another one. They're licensing out Link to non-first parties now for the first time since what, Soul Calibur, and I've never seen it since.
Well, I mean,
They're
for full games, it's been forever, but Soul Calibur
Oh
was the
yeah,
last time they let Link out for
yeah, and that was like
anything.
what 20 years ago now.
That's right, 20.
When was
That's over
Soul
20
Calibur?
years. That's probably 20 years for sure. Because Soul Calibur
Yeah,
would be in that
yeah, it
GameCube.
was only on the GameCube. Yeah,
Yeah, and Xbox had Spawn, and
yep.
PS2 got
PlayStation
shafted with
had
Hitachi?
Haiichi
Haichi.
protected. And you're right. They did get shafted because that was just. I mean, granted, everyone besides Nintendo got third party, but Spawn was like a superhero kind of thing, so it felt bigger. No offense to Haiichi from
Spawn was
Tekken.
cool at the time.
Yeah. Oh,
On
and
the
that's
front of
funny too,
Spawn is
'cause
crazy and deserves a better game.
I have the HD version that they made later on the 360, and of course that has all the characters except Link, um, because it was like, oh, here's the big version, so you get everyone.
Except Link,
But
because we can't get it.
exactly, but you don't get Link because he will never touch a platform that's not Nintendo. But that's what's crazy
But
is
you could totally have a character in Smash that's never been on the
yeah,
platform. Then we
exactly.
I guess Joker was on the platform because Persona 5 Strikers is on Switch for some
True.
reason, which I still don't understand. But
Yeah.
I guess he's also in Persona Q.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, though, before Strikers, why did no one question why Persona wasn't on Switch as much? Like people were excited and wanted it, but I didn't see anyone like, why do we have him? We don't even have his game yet. Like, it feels weird looking back now
It
and
does.
wondering why there wasn't more of an outcry. We've argued over much dumber shit on the internet, so
Well, this
it's
was
weird that
just
we don't
because
get to this one.
people don't want to admit that Xbox was the one that made that happen, though, and they did.
Oh, true.
They went out there and
For
spent the money
Persona,
on the port.
absolutely. Yeah, and you saw the marketing and everything they did. They were making sure Persona 5 was known by everyone on the planet that this was a big thing, and it helped every platform with the release. I mean, look how many it sold compared to the original.
Yeah.
Although it's hard to say which original since there's technically two.
Well, the first game came out in April. April. I just remember I went and picked it up. I was in the Eaton Center in downtown Toronto because I was visiting. It was my friend from Japan was visiting, so I had to go see her, right? And we went and I picked up the game. I remember picking it up. It was for my brother, but I honestly couldn't tell you much else was coming out or if there was any fanfare for it at the time because I don't remember. I just remember going to get hamburgers and her being really excited because we found some people that spoke Japanese. She goes, she'd been like far from home for a few months.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think we've been going on for quite a while. This is almost 3 hours. Let's wrap it up with releases coming this week.
That's true. We've got some stuff coming out Thursday and Friday.
And today, even today we got today we got that Castle Romancylvania? Is that how you say this?
True. I think so. I keep forgetting because I was looking forward to it coming, and then I haven't heard anything about it today.
Yeah, and it wasn't listed on the store, which is weird. But Romancylvania, yeah, it's like I don't know how to describe this, but it's
exactly what it sounds like.
It's a romance game and a Castlevania game. You play as like Dracula, but you can play as the Lady Dracula, so it's progressive. Male or female, you get to pick. So that's cool.
You can be Dracula or Boob Dracula.
Yeah. Is this game Figment 2 Creed Valley? I've never heard of this. Comes out on the 9th.
That sounds familiar.
Looks like some sort of platformery puzzle game. If you're into that, it looks kind of cool. I'm gonna have to like make something for this segment in the future, but so I don't have to be looking at something and trying to explain it.
A work in progress.
Yeah, I had a lot of problems with other things. I was trying to do something else, and then my mouse stopped working. The name was awful. It was awful.
Oh.
Okay.
Perfect.
Was this Transport Fever 2 console edition? Drops on the 9th also. If you like
Ooh.
Transport Fever, I guess you'll be excited for that one. Also on the 9th is Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse.
Yes.
Now,
They have that pre-installed. I'm
fun
excited.
fun fact about this game. Suda51 worked on it.
He did. Well, he worked on the original. I don't know if
No, he worked
the
on this one.
remake.
I looked it up. Well, not the remake.
Oh.
Probably the original. This is a port. It's an HD port. He
Yeah,
worked on the original.
you're
They're
right.
not going to change a lot of stuff. I don't think he had the same kind of like weird. How do I say it?
I know what you mean. Like his signature
His
style.
his signature bazonker style on it, but he
Yeah.
did work on it, so that is something
He
to
probably didn't
note.
have as much control, just
No, probably
because
not.
it was already an established series.
Well, it's Project Zero or Fatal Frame.
Yes.
I think it's just Rei in Japanese actually. Zero.
Yeah.
You learn something new. You can also say zero.
As long as
How
it's
are
not the
you?
same as what Resident Evil does. That always messes with me. It's Biohazard there, Resident Evil here, but then they decided for some reason to name number 7 Resident Evil Biohazard, which there was named Biohazard Resident Evil. Which, what the fuck? What are
Did
you
you know
doing?
that the Evil Within has another name?
Oh no, what is the Evil Within called?
Psycho Break, which is a better title in my opinion.
I like both. I'm used to the Evil Within, so of course that's the one that
But
sounds better to me.
but it's because they wanted to use the Within song. They wanted to
Yeah.
use that song. That's why they did it. But yeah, so Fatal Frame Project Zero, depending on where you are from, or just Rei if you're in Japan, I guess.
Same
It's coming.
subtitle on both of them? Mask of the Lunar Eclipse.
Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. I believe it is only Japanese audio though, like most of those are, but it might have both.
Probably.
I don't know. I'm gonna play in
Here's
Japanese.
hoping.
I'm the wrong person to ask if a game has an English dub or not. I'll
Ew, I
look
don't
for
speak
you.
English.
I will literally look for you. No problem. But I'm the wrong person to ask if I know off the top of my head.
Fair.
Mato Anomalies is on the 10th. What is I remember seeing it, looking at it, it was cool. Game page. Quick. Mato. This is like. Oh, it's another Prime Matter game. Which did. Yes. Yes. So this is a Embracer published game, I believe. Because Prime Matter also did Scars Above. Magic
Oh, that's right.
Counterpart. Yeah. They published it. Even though that
Yeah.
was Madhead Games made Scars Above. So it's a detective visual novel with a JRPG.
Yeah, that one sounded interesting.
Yeah, it looks interesting. It's kind of
There's
cyberpunky looking at it.
I'll have to check it out.
That is also coming to Xbox. I'm only looking at stuff that's coming to Xbox. We're kind of it's everyone's preferred platform here. So,
Yeah.
these will be coming else if they are coming. None of these are exclusive. PC. I'll just look back quick. Romance Mania is everything but Switch. Figment 2 is everything. Transport Fever is not on PC, so I'm guessing it was a PC game first. Fatal Frame's everything. Mato is everything. There's also... Oh man, this looks like shovelware, but... DC Justice League Cosmic Chaos. Everything but
Well,
Switch.
you can tell it's not a good sign because I've never even heard of it. And I like
They kind of look chibi, and it looks like a top-down, almost Diablo-esque game. Let's look at the Steam page quick. See if I'm right. They do have a weird art style though. Like they're very small. It looks kind of goofy. Oh, you can like. This might not be that awful. It looks weird though. How much is it? It says it's supposed to be released in 2 days. There's no price at the Steam page. Oh, that's not good.
It's another reason I didn't hear about it. They're not letting you get it.
It doesn't look awful. You can like switch between characters, and they have different abilities. So you have Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman. It is apparently it does have split screen co-op.
Hope it has online. That's one of the things that publishers and devs seem to forget. Online is.
I would like it if
super
it has both. I want both. Ideally, if
Oh,
you're
I
gonna have
agree.
one, please have the other, or have both.
I definitely agree there. I hate when it's just only split screen though, only because a lot of your friends these days are online.
Yeah.
So,
And there's still
so it's
people
a
that can't go
shame.
out.
Exactly. Yeah, it was always depressing seeing the local games, especially in like mid 2020, and you're like, bro, what am I
Yeah,
doing
it's the
with
thing
this?
with Grim Guardians. It's like, oh, I can play just local.
Yeah,
That's not cool.
it's always a
But whatever.
shame. Like, yeah, it's great to have the opportunity to play side by side with someone, of course. But in today's day and age, especially after a pandemic, it never hurts to add a little online co.
Okay, so I'm only going till next Tuesday because that's when we're gonna be airing again. But there is coming up next Tuesday because I'll probably remind people when we're there. But the Forest Cathedral. What the hell is this game? It's a
Well,
2D.
obviously, it's
It's a 2D puzzle game connected to a 3D world. And it's wonky looking.
bad.
Oh, it's made by. It's got the aggro crab seal of quality, so we know it's got to be good. I trust aggro crab with my life. And that is basically it for releases. So I think that's it for us.
Wasn't
For
there
this
a
week.
Game Pass release or a game coming straight to
Oh, there
Game Pass?
was. What was Game Pass today? That was wasn't that
I think it was,
wait, wasn't
it might
that
be the 9th.
it was a fighting
Today
game.
was Guilty Gear,
Yeah, it was Guilty Gear today, and then
but yeah, they just announced some more, and I think one was the 9th.
wish I had that handy here.
Yeah, I posted it earlier, and I totally forgot until just now.
I think I remembered.
Because ironically, oh, no problem. I think Tuesdays is when they update every now and then, so it would never hurt if we happen to see it. Trying to scroll back.
Ni no Kuni 2, I believe is the one you're thinking of, and that is I can't forget. Ni no Kuni 2 is I'm trying to read this, but the one I got was in Spanish.
I think
No,
I
it's
took a picture.
21st. I think it's the 21st. If I'm reading this right.
Let's
Guilty Gear's today.
Mhm.
Dead Space 2 and 3 are coming to cloud.
Oh, here's a picture. It's Guilty Gears today. Valheim is the 14th.
Yes.
Then Civilization 6 on the 16th, and you're right, Ni no Kuni is on the 21st.
Okay. Well, I'm glad that I can work out. I think this is Spanish. Was it Spanish? Let me know. Is that right? Oh, it was Spanish.
My man.
I can figure it
was
out.
Korean.
Oh, I can tell the difference
And
between
yeah,
Korean, Mandarin, and Japanese because I can read
Well, that's
some
good.
Japanese. But it's like it's Korean's the one with the
Yeah.
circles, guys. What?
Yeah. Delicious circles.
Circles.
And they added Dead Space to cloud too. I think it was 2 and 3, but not 1.
Yeah, but no, 2 and 3. One was already on cloud, I think.
Yeah.
I could just check, but I think they mean cloud with cloud controls because I think you could play them on cloud before.
Yeah. There's a lot of weird misconceptions with those where it doesn't say it's on. play it on.
Yeah.
I don't remember if it was Zuzu or Phantom that was always talking about it, or it might have also been Infernal Games. There's a bunch of buds that we have that, not that they're interchangeable or anything, but
No, it's
each one
sometimes it's
talks
just
about
someone says
similar.
something and you
Yeah,
just you forget who said it. And we're not trying to just forget people for the sake of it, but yeah.
yeah. Especially because you associate something with like the 4 people who are passionate about that specific thing, so you
Yeah.
don't remember which one said it at the time because it gets juggled
Yeah.
around a
I know
lot.
Guilty Gear is a huge deal for a lot of people. I could bust
Yeah,
out the fight stick and try it because I don't think have I ever played a Guilty Gear game? I do have a fight
played a few,
stick.
but not
I know
Strive. I was hoping it would come. It finally did. Also, don't buy any of the season passes now. I should mention this. It was on reset era, so take it with a grain of salt. But both season passes are supposedly marked incorrectly. Right now, they're both $53. They're supposed to be $25. So
yeah,
before you spend $100+,
yeah, don't do that.
definitely wait. Yeah,
Don't spend it. If they're mismarked, they're mismarked. And
yeah,
hopefully
it's because they
we
haven't
get a
announced that it's
solution for
mismarked.
what happening with Grim Guardians before next week. Because if that's pulled for a
I
whole
agree.
week, I'll be very upset. Because that is a good game.
I'll be too. I wanted to play it. I can't buy it.
I might
It
have to
doesn't
gift
exist
it to you
anymore.
then. From
Oh, I wouldn't want
Canada,
you to have to do
from the
that.
from the land of Canada, where Grim Guardian is allowed to exist.
Exactly.
But
It's
yeah,
gonna
that's gonna
get
be.
blocked when it comes to me. It's gonna
No,
get
you
stuck
can't
at the
have
border.
this. Okay. Okay, my bladder's telling me it's time to go. So it was fun. I'm gonna put this up on
Definitely.
YouTube, trim off the front, and then we'll be good for next week. Where I'll hopefully have some more stuff on the screen, which
and
is more interesting
we'll
to look
definitely
at.
keep improving as we go. It's a
Yes.
work in progress, like anything.
Mhm. But until next time. Matane.
Yeah, it was fun.